how bloody good's Hippie Club?
So good. When was the last time you went? Legit, we like to talk about Hippie Club.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not what happens in Hippie Club stays in Hippie Club.
Yeah.
It's not Fight Club.
Cameras everywhere,
Last time I was in Hippie Club, I actually can't remember. It would be a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be within the last 18 months, but probably not in the last 12 months.
Yeah. But it's not like 7 years ago. It was
No.
Recent.
It's one of the great venues, not only in Perth, but Australia-wide. I've been to some venues. Hippie Club is right up there.
We do have listeners all around Australia and even outside of Australia. If you have no idea what we're talking about with Hippie Club, just look up Hippie Club. Look at some pictures.
And it's HIP-E.
Yes.
Don't let anyone tell you it's HIPPIE,
Yeah.
HIPPY.
They do play on the hippie theme.
Yes.
You know, the signage and stuff.
There's the DJ booth is like a VW, like a van.
Yeah.
You ever noticed that?
Yeah, I've been. They play on that, but it is...
How many times have you been there?
A handful.
Okay.
Yeah. Tuesday night, it's a good place to be.
Well, Tuesday night, Friday night, Saturday night. It's a very good venue. I mean, Tuesday nights. Not Mondays. Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
They do sausage sizzles, like $4 sausages, like a proper setup out the back. Some of the great. You think Bunnings is good? Head down to Hippie Club at about 10:30, 11 a.m. 11 p.m. on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, good.
Like that's the sort of venue we're talking about. They look after the people.
Yeah, it seems family friendly.
So
right?
we can understand why the boys went out.
Yeah,
can't we?
Yeah.
I mean, it's Hippie Club. We speak about it a lot on this podcast.
It's got that draw that you just can't refuse sometimes.
I do. I don't know. I'm done to death of going hard. I went hard at the club, you know, players. We're not going to do that on this show because you find it somewhere else. But it's funny. Like there was 7 of them. It wasn't one guy. It's like, oh, we found you on the security guard. Like 7 is like like 20.
Attention.
It's like close to 25% of the team was there. So what I read out of that is there's clear confusion and clarity on what the rules were.
Well, are there rules in place?
I don't know. I actually don't know. But if it was like, do not go to Hippie Club or do not go to a venue, they wouldn't have gone. So I think there might have been some confusion. So one of those 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 players would have been like, boys, it says we can't do that. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have gone if they thought they couldn't go.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You know what? You could almost pass Hippie Club as a bar. Like, is it because it's considered a club?
You could pass it a few other things. It's a nightclub, mate. There's a big D floor.
Yeah.
There's bars inside. There's outside.
Yeah, but they're like, oh, it's basically a beer garden.
Outside, inside. They got stools on the thing. They got sometimes they have dancers up the front. Yeah. It's a great venue. They play all the classics. Cotton Eye Joe is a very
we like to play. That's getting a rock.
Macarena's coming out. You know that's coming out, and there's a big group Macarena happening in the D floor.
Yes.
Charlie, have you been to Hippie Club?
No, not once. Never.
Not once.
Shame.
Well, you know what?
Haven't lived.
Shut your mouth. Fuck off, Charlie. Sit. No. Charlie, I can't believe you haven't been to Hippie Club.
Well, you haven't invited me, Will.
Yeah, that's
Tell you
fair
what, BackChat Christmas party we will be at Hippie Club at some point.
That's right.
Guaranteed.
Ryan Davis, friend of the family.
Yes.
Guest a month or so ago. He has he's got his WA Bucks party happening here in WA in about a month.
Yep.
It's at Hippie Club.
Yeah, very good.
He's a regular frequent of Hippie when he was here.
Yep.
Well and truly off the rails between West Coast and Gold Coast. He was there 5 times a week. They're only open 4 times a week. Okay, there we go. Socials, you know where to find us. BackChat, _ across Twitter, TikTok, BackChat, Instagram. You'll find us.
Sorry, I was just going to say, a social channel that we're not on is WhatsApp. And can we talk about
if you want.
WhatsApp, right? We're not on it, but I know for a fact that...
Is that a social channel?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe not.
Okay.
One of the things you've talked to me about when you left playing for the club was that you were no longer in the player WhatsApp group, which is a sad... I've been a part of WhatsApp groups where it's like you have been removed and you get that little notification.
It's not a good feeling.
No, it's not.
No.
Given the state of what's happening
especially when you're an admin.
Yeah,
right. I was an admin.
Right. So they've had to nominate another admin.
Yeah.
Bump
it's
you.
It's a process, mate.
Right. So in the player WhatsApp group this week, what sort of banter's happening? Are they...
I actually wish I knew. I reckon from experience, it's too soon.
Okay.
I mean, they've all just been handed out the maximum fine you can possibly get, $5,000 each. AFLPA have come out and said They don't agree with that fine by West Coast. They don't even agree with the fact that they couldn't go to the nightclub in the first place. So they've strongly come out against that, and the club's gone, we don't care, $5,000. So, look, if I was at the club, it would.
Yeah, what would you be writing in the WhatsApp group? I mean, you would be at the hippie club.
See you at hippie club Thursday night, please. Is it going to be something along the lines of? Yep. Does anyone got any pull at hippie club? Because I'm going this way. You got to find the line with too soon. There's some young guys there. $5,000 is a lot of money. I don't care.
It is.
I don't care if you paid a lot of money. I don't care if you paid no money. $5,000 is a lot of money.
Mate, I get a $50 fine and I'm livid.
Hugh Dixon got fined $5,000. Hugh Dixon is a SSP added in January. Probably had to quit his job to go down to West Coast and would be on below a rookie wage. And he's got $5,000.
Yeah.
Reckon he's learned his lesson?
How much do you reckon they spend at hippie club on top of that as well? It's probably $6,000 total.
Oh, boy. Anyways. That's okay.
We'll move on.
Yeah, we will. You can send us an email, hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. We made a rule early on in this podcast that if you send it...
Yes, we will read it.
Yeah, so if you send us anything via email, we have to read it. We don't leave anything out.
We don't.
We have had a long-running email that sits in the bottom of our run sheet that we'll speak about later.
Yes.
But if you send us an email at hello@backchatpodcast.com.au, you got something to say, a business to plug, something else to do, we'll read it out.
If you work at the hippie club, send us an email.
Oh, my God, if you work at the hippie club.
Get in touch.
Now, that'd be a story worth bloody reading about this thing. Like, I mean, it's gone beyond. They're calling them the Nightclub 7, the West Coast Eagles players at the hippie club.
I would have gone with the hippie 7.
Imagine getting inside from a worker at hippie club. That'd be proper, like, today, tonight sort of shit.
Oh, you know, there's a Perth now journo that's been hitting up bartenders there.
Smelling the carpet down the hippie club. They were here. The sniffer dogs down there. All right, you can join up to Patreon. We've got some good things happening over there. So we've got over 200 patrons, Dan.
Yeah, that's huge.
Very special stuff. Supporting the podcast. We love what you do there, and we like to give back to you. So we've got quite a few sponsors on board now that you can get discount codes for doing all sorts of things. I hope you sorted the mums out.
Better.
Got the special Mother's Day.
Did tell me there was some BackChat codes.
There you go. BackChat sorting out. So there's florist codes. There's whiskey codes. So whiskey with whippersnapper, florist with fox and rabbit. We've got... No, we don't just yet.
No, hold on. You're so eager.
Margaret River Roasting Company, some coffee.
I made 2 cups of Margaret River Roasting coffee this morning.
Somewhere, one of these cameras, you can see a coffee machine back here. I've been cooking them up back there. You weren't happy with the cleanliness of the station.
No, I've always said, actually, it's not even my quote.
I was going to say, if you've ever said this.
No, I haven't. I've passed it on to others. The sign of a good barista is a clean workstation. So if you go to a coffee shop and it's dirty,
cool.
Chances are that barista isn't organised.
Good thing I'm not a fucking barista then.
Yes,
there's
coffee grains everywhere.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I need a little dust buster.
Yeah, just need to be more careful when you're working with your tools.
Anyway, Cameo's still supporting us, so you can get those cameos over there.
Yeah,
beautiful stuff.
I didn't get any email that say cameos.
I didn't either. I was a bit disappointed. It's all right.
It's okay.
So you can jump onto Patreon and become a patron. Sign up and you get VIP codes at backchatpodcast.com.au. That's a website. You'll find fines over there. You'll find sign-ups for a competition we're rolling out this episode, which is a bit exciting. But before we get there, one that is running right now is the fantasy competition.
Yes, BackChat Fantasy League. I'll just start. I didn't have a good week. And I made trades.
Have you had a good week ever?
Yeah. No. I made some trades.
Yes.
Brought in some guys. But my captain didn't go well. Max Gorn just had a flop.
Like he could miss this week against West Coast, Maxie. Not happy. Not happy. The fantasy world. Not happy.
Yeah. Yep. So
you trade him out? Would you trade him out? Think about it. You don't sound happy.
I can bring him back in, right?
Well, yeah, it cost you 2 trades.
How many trades are you allowed?
2 a week.
Yeah, so I'll trade him out.
3 over the buy periods.
And then the following week I'll bring him back in.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's all good. You don't need to upgrade the rest of your team, or you're just going to flip Ruckman?
I trust my team.
Charlie, how did you go, mate? Did you have a good week, bad week? It was a tough week in the fantasy realm, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it wasn't a good week for me either. I dropped down 4 spaces. 4 places, I guess.
You're really battling, aren't you? I mean, you're just in front of the people that don't look at their teams. That's where you're sitting, Charlie. You're 116th to 120th. You're coming now.
120th this week.
And Dan, you've dropped to 134th.
Yeah.
Captain Took Miller this week. He didn't have his best
I
game.
mean, what did he got a 90, 95?
95, but you know, it's
My
just,
captain got 130 after the double, so
Well, in more negative news, the hot guys team, Alex's hot boys, they've dropped down. She's had a bad week. She picked a poor captain, probably not hot enough. Millsy. Callum Mills plays for Sydney. Came off the back of 180 last week. Just spat out a 75. Didn't score in the first or last quarters.
Yikes.
Just sickening stuff from Millsy. And I did say to her, she had Bailey Smith as the vice captain. Maybe you should have just made your hot guy the hot guy captain. She's dropped down to 27th from 16th.
Ugh,
Big,
disgusting.
bad week. Nathan and the prime time ballers, he's on top. He's sixth in the country.
that's huge.
So, I mean, hats off to you.
Well done, Nathan.
And Kat, who's not here today, she's gone up a gear. Positive news.
Hello.
157 to 156. That's it. Follow along. Fantasy, doing well. Good job, Nathan. I will say once again, can turn very quickly, fantasy
Yes.
world.
I'm banking on that.
Now, not that, I mean, we haven't been building this up forever, but I feel like this is a pretty nice little competition where we're about to run here.
Very excited about it.
Best, worst jumpers ever in the AFL.
Yes.
And we have a sponsor that's come on board.
Hello.
Sports Gear Australia, sportsga.com.au.
Yep.
This is what they do.
Okay.
So I'd love to say, we planned this and, we were hunting for a sponsor, but we literally were like, this would be great. Let's find the worst sponsor. Sports Gear.
No, not the worst sponsor. Let's find the worst Guernsey.
Sorry. Sports Gear Australia, though, hit us up and we're like,
And they are literally the best sponsor for this.
they were like, this is what we do.
Yep.
We find player-worn Guernseys and, some of them are bad. Some of them, people love them because they're so bad.
Yes.
So that's what we've done. We've created a bracket, the best, worst jumpers in the history of the AFL.
The best worst 16. We'll whittle it down to the very best worst.
So we've got a bracket with 4 games on each side. We've got 8 matchups, 16 jumpers, and we're going to do it across socials.
Yes, that's right. Very important.
At the end of all of this, we're going to have a winner of jumper, and we're going to have an actual winner of people.
Yes.
So you need to enter on the website, backchatpodcast.com.au, or across socials, and we're going to draw a lucky winner at the end of it all, and they're going to get the actual jumper.
That's amazing.
It's actually good.
Yeah.
Some of these go for $500, $600, $700, $800.
Proper money. Yeah.
So
And do you know what?
If you're not interested before we started saying, there's an $800 prize on the line.
We had lots of people message us with their preferred best worst Guernseys.
Yep.
Don't forget about this one. This one's awful. I think we've got a really good 16 now.
Yep.
And I would be happy to wear absolutely any one of these. They're that awful.
So this is going to be rolled out over the weekend. So you need to be watching BackChat Instagram,
Yes.
the stories.
Do some stories, some polls.
Yep.
I'll battle it out. This will be round 1. Then next week will be round 2 until there's some finals.
Yeah.
You know how it works.
So there's 8 matchups. Hawthorn v Hawthorn. Hawthorn 2015, the Power Ranger Guernsey v Hawthorn 1995 pre-season. So it's the Hawks first up.
Yep.
You'll see them. There's some disgusting jumpers here. North Melbourne v Geelong. North Melbourne 2000, they had a partnership with Orange Business Loans. So they rolled out an orange jumper. Just disgusting stuff. Geelong 2003 away jumper. I don't know what they were coming up with in the marketing department.
You know what that one looks like? It looks like someone slid on the 50-metre line and the blue has smudged onto their Guernsey.
They forgot to leave. They've washed it with like a blue towel.
Yes, that's right. Exactly that.
Collingwood 1996 pre-season Guernsey. We're going way back.
This really weird magpie character on there.
The Melbourne 2008 silver clash jet.
You know what this one is?
No.
It's like just a lot of silver. It's no good.
I love that. And West Coast. I don't know how to say this word. It's the ochre. Ochre?
Ochre?
I don't know. The orange, the spew orange colour.
Yeah.
You know what
Ochre.
it is.
Ochre.
Ochre, is it, Charlie?
Yeah, it's okay.
Thank you, mate. Worn in 2000, 2002. Rare, apparently.
2 years of that.
Rare. That's the Port Adelaide 2009 clash jumper.
Yep.
Port Adelaide pops up a little bit. So does this team. Matchup number 5, St Kilda 2014 preseason jumper v St Kilda pure promotional jumper in 2002.
The Pura Milk.
Oh, God.
So that bright yellow.
Oh, God.
branding.
St Kilda. What are you thinking? Next up, Brisbane 2007 v Adelaide 2006. Both clash strips.
Yep.
Say that 1,000 times.
Clash strips.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's hard,
don't want
isn't Okay, next up, Western Bulldogs. Now, this is a beauty. They had a Thor-inspired jumper when Marvel Stadium was kind of doing their thing.
Yep, when they first got on board.
Some sort of superhero. I reckon it's right up there with the Power Ranger one, that one.
Yep.
Now
I had forgotten that even existed until we did this.
Who was Thor? Who was?
Chris
Hemsworth.
Isaac. Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Isaac. Now that's up against. This is in the matchup number 7. Fremantle 1998-2000 away Guernsey. What's wrong with that, Charlie?
Just wasn't a good Guernsey. I hated that one.
There's a lot of purple in that, wasn't it?
It was like there was like an anchor that was like flying over, like it looked like it was moving.
And just remember, you're voting for the best, worst Guernsey as well. So if you hate it,
vote for it.
Yeah, that's what you want.
You love to hate it.
You want to pick the best, like the worst.
No.
You want to love it.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, how good is this? This is so bad, it's good. Now, the last matchup, Carlton 1997, one-off promotion for the new light blue M&M. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That was
very light blue.
That was bad.
Yeah.
That's playing Richmond, won in 2008 to celebrate 100 years of Richmond. I mean, that seems like a nice time to celebrate.
You think it was such a big occasion, you'd make a really good Guernsey. But you know what? Some of them are just throwbacks to like old style things. But anyways, that's okay.
Okay,
We've got to find the best, worst one, and there will be a winner.
Right, so we'll be doing that across socials. Look over the weekend, Sports Gear Australia, sportsga.com.au. They're going to bring you the winning jumper, the best, worst Guernsey in the land.
Amazing.
How bloody good. Okay.
So good.
Get around that, and you can enter on the website, backchatpodcast.com.au. Now, I worked Fox Footy. Worked the boundary Friday night. Fremantle v North Melbourne. Just a horrid game of football. Like, Fremantle dominated, North Melbourne putrid.
Yep.
It was a real shellacking. Mm-hmm. At one stage, though, I'm sitting on the boundary, calls going on, and I've explained it to you before on this podcast, but you've got 2 microphones. You've got the producer's mic, where you've got to press a button to speak to the producer off air, and you've got your on-air mic, where if I accidentally flick that on during the broadcast, I'm live.
You're just going to talk over the commentary team.
And if they come down to me and I forget to flick it on, no noise is coming out.
Yes.
So when you hear boundary riders, they go, Will Schofield down the boundary, and there's nothing. It's not that they can't hear.
Yes.
It's that they've forgotten.
There's no tech issues. Yeah. They've
butchered it.
Human error.
Butchered it. So anyway, I go into my producer's mic. I said, Zach, mate, there's a streaker out in the field.
Yes.
Just your standard check of your phone. It's just that good. There's a streaker out in the field.
Just checking it wasn't Charlie saying, guys, we're just speaking in Mandarin or something, please.
There's a streaker on the field. And Zach, no worries. We probably won't mention it. Zach, there's 2 streakers out in the field. No worries. Hey, Zach, mate, there's 3 streakers out in the field. There was 3 streakers in the middle.
3?
Yeah. 3. Did they show it at all that you were watching?
I just saw like videos on TikTok and Instagram later.
Mate,
I saw 2.
Charlie, you were there?
Yeah, I was there. It's great to see.
Both ends. It was like it was coordinated, but it wasn't coordinated.
Well, it was right after Nathan O'Driscoll scored his goal. So I got to assume they did it specifically at that time.
Right.
And one guy kicked the ball into the goals, right?
Yeah, he had
missed.
a ball.
Did he miss?
I think he missed.
Brutal.
But it was from the pocket. It was a hard kick.
I wasn't able to update any. Yeah, weren't happy to put that there. Like we sort
TV
of
does that as well. As soon as they see it, they go it off. They take them off the camera. They don't want to advertise it.
Why do you think that is?
They don't want to promote it.
You'd be
Copycat
happy with that, wouldn't you?
No, I want to see it.
Oh, you do?
No, I always want to see the streaker.
How much would they have to pay you to streak? And clothed.
Are there
clothed?
Am I up for the fine and the ban from the stadium?
Yes. You get a $20,000 fine and you're banned for 3 years.
Wouldn't do it.
Never.
Well, you have to cover the
$1 million.
Oh, yeah.
That was easy. 500 grand. It's a yes.
Yeah, I'll do it.
200 grand.
Oh.
So you're now at 180 plus 3.
Yeah, I got to think of my family now.
180. Still yes.
Yeah.
100.
Yep.
50.
I think 50 is probably a no.
So you don't want 30.
Because it's actually $30K.
$30,000 plus 3-year ban. You don't want 30 grand?
I'd like the option to go to the footy in the next 3 years.
So that's your target there.
100K. I wouldn't do it less than 100K.
All right,
mate. You got to think. Like, I can't go to my wife and say, "Hey, I gave up $80,000 today."
I wouldn't have thought you can go to your wife and say, "I gave up 30 grand today."
Well,
I'll be doing it for 30 grand.
What? So you get $10,000?
No.
So you do it for the 50?
Yeah, I do 50.
Okay. Well,
hey, everyone's got a price, mate.
yeah, but you wouldn't be able to work for the next 3 years. You'd be
Heath
allowed to
Chapman is rising star this week. About bloody time they give it to a defender.
Yep.
About bloody time they give it to a West Australian. About bloody time they give it to a Freo Docker. They've got the best back six in the league. He's doing some special things. He's not on anyone's radar at the moment. He played last year, so people think, he played some games last year, not available. Well, if you play under 6 games and you're under a certain age, you're still available the next year.
Good.
And he is, and he's been nominated. I think now that he's been nominated, people start taking a bit more attention, Charlie. He's a good player, isn't he?
Excellent player. Love him.
He's like Jordan Ridley from Essendon, who won a best and fairest with them 2 years ago. So I can see that in him. He's smart, he's agile, he's quick. He's like, for a young kid, he moves very well. They've found an absolutely beautiful player there.
You could probably dress a mouse in a Freo Guernsey and put it on the field, and if you said to Charlie, how good was the mouse? He'd be like, I bloody love the mouse.
Yeah, he was great.
You can't
Did you
ask him
see
if he thinks that Heath Chapman's good. He's going to say, oh, mate, I love him.
Do you like Heath Chapman, Dan?
I'm indifferent.
You're indifferent. You wouldn't even know what he is. You wouldn't even
No,
know.
no,
A typical West Coast
That's
supporter wouldn't have a clue.
insulting.
What number is he?
6.
No. It's Jordan Clark. You're an embarrassment.
Speaking of an embarrassment,
What a segue.
your old mate went down from a hit on the weekend. Clayton Oliver. Now, it looked very similar to Will Schofield v. Clayton Oliver in 2017, like
Oh, yeah. Ish.
those areas.
Yeah,
So he's gone down again. He's taken a hit.
he has.
Did you see it?
I did.
And there's a fine up for grabs.
Clayton. Zach Jones has been chucked with $3,000 fine down to $2,000 for a first offence. Can accept the deal. It's another issue. Everyone's just like, we'll just take the fine. It's still an amount of money for doing something that this was. Now,
Because, I'll just say this. If you take the 2,000, then you're admitting guilt.
yeah. Which
And
I have
so
a
you have to
problem with.
go, all right, I didn't do it, but I'll take the 2,000 fine.
So in Clayton's incident with me, 2017, I feathered him with my elbow,
yes.
as described. And feathered was actually the term. We spent about 3 hours as a legal team, trying to figure out the exact word to describe the elbow to Clayton's chin. Because I will say, I did hit him in the chin, but it was the slightest, the softest, the most beautiful touch of a chin you'll ever take with an elbow. Yep. So it was like, do we say slight? Do we say soft? But we didn't want to admit contact. So we used the word feathered because we felt like that sounded the lightest possible.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon Zach Jones may have feathered Clayton's chest in this one. Clayton's a good player now. You don't need to be doing this. You don't want a reputation of diving.
Plays for a very good team.
Plays for a good team. It doesn't matter. He's a good player, one of the best in the competition. That's what you want your reputation to be about. Not taking dives when you get contact, especially Clayton, when you've gone running over to Zach Jones. I think Clayton Oliver should put his hand up and say, I've taken a dive, give me the fine.
He's not doing that.
Zach, would you be like, okay, well done. That's a bit of honesty. Because he clearly has. He's taken a dive. Even if he hasn't, he instigated it. What are you running over there for? What do you want Zach Jones to do? Just be like, come bump into me, mate.
Yeah.
Would you like that?
No.
Right. So Zach Jones has done all he's needed to do, defended himself, got him in the chest. Oliver's gone down like a pack of shit.
Yep.
It's embarrassing, mate.
Yeah, it is embarrassing.
He's a good player. It's only embarrassing because he's a good player. If he was just a pleb like me, I'd be like, who cares? Schofield diving again.
Yeah.
But Clayton Oliver's chance to win a Brownlow. Can't be diving around like that.
Maybe you should hit up Zach Jones and send him a business card to your legal team.
I'm going to contact Zach
Yep.
and I'm going to have a chat. And I'm
Okay.
going to tell him you need to use the word, I feathered his chest.
Yes. Good.
Very good. So that'll be funny to see how that plays out. I'm actually going to get in contact with Zach. I might.
Yeah,
Let's
please.
see if we can do it.
Send a text so that we can screenshot it and put it up.
BackChat bets powered by Blue Bet. Now, this week's multi, again, you got to watch our socials. We put these out Friday. We need to get on by Friday night. We may open that up a little bit, but we've been having one of our legs on the Friday night. Basically, we build a multi-bet to have everyone have a bit of fun. Everyone put a couple of dollars on it and just see if we can ride the glory that would be taking Blue Bet down. Now, we did it a couple of times off the bat. We won a couple of multis in the row.
We did.
And we had a bit of a head wobble about us.
Yeah.
Hasn't gone well since then.
Hasn't.
We've missed one leg for the last couple. Now,
I think we missed 2 this week.
no, we didn't.
Yeah,
did we?
West Coast at the line.
So we were Jai Amos
Yep.
to kick a goal. We should have gone 2+, Charlie. It was a bloody beautiful pick, Charlie.
Bloody loved it.
So that wins Friday night footy. Yeah,
I
Charlie.
did that on purpose.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
Essendon for a bit of love
Yep.
for the Coolbinia Bombers.
And like we said, we were just a little bit too scared to back them completely. So we went the line.
Yeah, but they had 5 out. They win against Hawthorn. Great win. We can't bet we're on our guests, right? We don't want to involve them in any betting. So we thought it'd be funny to go Josh P. Kennedy, who plays for Sydney, after having Josh J. Kennedy on the podcast. 20
Jerome,
plus,
I believe. The
20
J
plus
as well.
disposals. 14 disposals he had.
Yeah.
And yes, I did hear the Jerome. Not funny. 14 disposals. Just putrid. From a great player that Josh P. Kennedy's become.
But you said
Leader of the club.
he's hanging out in the back line a fair bit.
So whoever's idea that was terrible. So we're out then. And then West Coast at the line. We gave West Coast
72.5 point head start.
So for those who don't bet, that they had a head start of 72.5 points.
Yep.
So if the game, as the starting siren went, Brisbane were on 0, West Coast were on 72.5.
Yep.
They still lost.
They still lost.
They lost in the last 20 seconds of that game. It's
Brutal.
disappointing. It was very disappointing.
The thing is, here's the thing with the Blue Bet. We could pick 3 surefire things. There's no fun in that.
Melbourne
That's
to
not
win.
what this is about.
Melbourne to win, Freo to win, West Coast to lose.
Yep.
Into someone else bad. North Melbourne to lose.
That's not what this is about. It's about
Banter.
getting a bit creative, having a bit of banter.
Banter.
Who honestly, there would have been one bet in Australia on 20 disposals for Josh P. Kennedy.
I had a little bit of a look at and it was a back chat. And we get our odds boosted a little bit as well from the boys at Blue Jet. But I had a little bit of a look next week. West Coast play Melbourne.
Yeah.
The best in the league versus the worst in the league. Their line's 52 points.
Yeah.
I'm taking Melbourne, baby. We're giving Melbourne are going to start on negative 52. I'm going to see if they can still win. Surely. That's low.
If they were 72 against Brisbane, they lost by 100 against Richmond.
And just a little run around before this season started, we did some premiership bets.
We did. We put a bet on every single team.
Yep. So this is when Blue Bet started. We put a $20 bet on every team and anyone who came to beers with BackChat, which we're due for another one.
Yeah, we are due for another beer.
If you want to have a beer with BackChat, let us know. Chuck something on social. Put something on a story and say, I want a beer with BackChat, and we'll repost it.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty keen for another beer real soon.
Yeah.
Real soon.
I haven't had a beer since.
I've got to put this away. Stop drinking. So we put $20 on each team, and I just had a bit of a review. I thought, I wonder how those are going, because they were the odds at the time.
Yeah,
and
very good.
Clearly, you don't know how teams are going. So we're into round 8 now. Melbourne were paying $4.25. They're still the favourite. So $20 at
Probably around the same.
$4.25. You're getting back $80. I mean, it's okay.
Yep.
Thomas has got Melbourne. Fremantle. Now, this is the one. They're second on the ladder right now.
Yep.
$41.
They almost look unbeatable.
Alan Barch got amongst that one. He was drawn out of the hat for that.
That's an $800 payoff.
On us.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Alan.
You're welcome.
We might just lose your contact details and keep putting that account. Brisbane, Natalie's on this one. She's at $7 at Brisbane. Brisbane look very good.
They look very good too.
They look strong. And Carlton, they've slid into top 4. Are they in the top 4 or are they 5th?
No, they're top 4.
Carlton's 4th. $26 they were paying for the flag. Fremantle fans listening to this, just let that sink in. Before the season started, Fremantle were paying $41 to win. Carlton, $26. How do you feel about that, Charlie? Does that disappoint you?
It disappoints me that I didn't put money on it.
Okay, very good. Now let's keep moving. I
will just say one last odds
I
saw.
Okay.
West Coast to win the premiership, $501.
That's unders. I reckon that needs to go out to about $2,000, I reckon, at this stage.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if West Coast win the flag, I'll do a naked lap around Optus Stadium for $0, not $50,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, $0. If they win the flag.
During a live game?
During the grand final. I'll do the grand final sprint naked.
Okay.
With no invite. So I'll streak onto the middle of it. Yeah.
And probably win it.
Yes.
Correct.
It. And then I just win all round because West Coast win the flag. West Coast are playing in the grand final. So I'm happy anyway.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Fines. Now, if we did this the first time we did fines, not a lot of buy-in, which is always disappointing from a
when you come up with an idea and you want people involved.
No, it's not actually about that. From a fines point of view, what makes great fines is buy-in. Mm-hmm. People getting into the spirit. First episode didn't get a lot. Second episode, people started buying. Well, I tell you what, people have bought in.
Yeah.
We got a fine session,
We
baby.
could start our own podcast called Fines.
Charlie, get the tin ready. Rattle her up, mate. Here they come right now. Brendan Decker sends the fine to Will. I don't appreciate how many people are fining me, but you know what? That's the way it goes sometimes. Now, don't wear your wife's slippers/sandals to work. If you can't find proper pluggers, go barefoot like a real man. Fair enough, $2. Sitting here like a bloody pretend male. Caitlin Walker even. Who gets the fine? Dan? Charlie? Whomever films, edits the podcast.
Should be whomever, but that's fine. Fine for you, Kaylin, for saying whoever.
I think that's a fine for Dan for pointing that out.
$2 to Charlie for butting in on fines, $2 to Dan for talking shit, and $2 more to Dan because he's the one that produces the podcast and edits the podcast. I'm sure you're already aware, and you would have fixed it, if possible, but there was a square on Kyle Godwin's face when he was telling us his greatest sporting achievement.
I'm not copying that fine.
I'm going to say that's my fault.
Yeah. It's not a post-production thing. It was a camera issue at the time.
It's a pre-production thing.
Yeah.
And why?
I'm gonna cop it.
No. Okay, neither of you get to say if you're copying or not copying. You're copying the fine because you haven't told me about that. That's the first I've heard about it. Probably should have watched the episode. And Charlie, you can have another $2 because both of you are piping up too much. You just cop it. You just cop it, sweet boys. Who gets the fine? Jordan Petkov. Is that Jordan Petkov? Is that?
Maybe.
This is from Nick Carreri. Is that meant to be like when Mosey's opens the phone?
Like Amanda hugging kiss?
Yeah. Is that what that is? No, this is actual Jordan Petkov for leaving the Eagles game at 3/4 time. Bloody oath, $2. That's piss poor, Jordan, if your name's Jordan. If it's meant to be Jordan, $2 fine for you, Nick. Amy Tomo, who gets the fine? Philip White Tiling. Now, this is fans v fans here. We love this. $2 here for Phil. Always hear him on the podcast being a hero when really he rear-ended my car last year and wrote it off.
Oh, my gosh.
Blamed his wife for yelling at him on the phone as a distraction for the accident and then didn't pay his excess. 100% worthy of a fine, mate. Absolutely. Amy Tomo. You know what? I said $2, Philip. That's a $10. Disgraceful behaviour. Tell you what, Philip White and the little drive-by, always acting like a hero on the podcast.
Yep.
Very good stuff, Amy. I like it a lot. Jay Jones says, Dan, should just set up a $2 direct debit for the rest of the time on the podcast, hopefully years, because we know at some stage in every episode he is going to butcher the English language. If he's reading this out, this will prove my point. $5 fine. That's just all time, Jade. Thank you very much for your support because I agree with you. Lisa, $2 fine for Sky for butchering the name. Every time I stuff up a name, $2 fine.
Yep.
Lisa Ray Dowling. Who gets the fine? Scoey. Fucking hell, Lisa. Explain why a fine is in order. Need a good excuse to why he would wear those grandpa slippers whilst podcasting to not get a fine. You know what? They're comfortable. How's that sound, Lisa? I like bloody wearing them. I should be wearing them right now. Disappointed in myself. Isaac. Who gets the fine? I love these fan v fans. I'm going to have to chase them down. Casey Vander gets the fine. $2 to my friend Casey for losing his license. Pull your head in, mate.
Yeah.
Pull your head in.
Put more on that.
Do you go. Yeah, I'll give you. You go. How
Make
much?
it $10.
$10.
Yeah, don't lose your license.
Depends
Pull
what
your
it was
head in.
for. Is there any reason that would be okay?
No.
All right. Knowlesy says Will gets the fine. Okay, here he is. Get on your hero, James.
You got some fines coming up. I'm just scrolling down.
Get on your James. On one of the first episodes. I mean, how far back are we going, Jimmy? You want to go back to 2012 when I was getting a game at West Coast? Will went to great lengths to explain that this podcast wasn't going to have a guest every week, basically because he couldn't be bothered organising one. Deserves a fine to lying to us. Love the guest, though.
I do remember you saying that.
$5, not $2. $5. That's a good point, Jimmy. Well done. Tom Carmody says, another one for me. Great. For wearing a white suit on Channel 7 when explaining how good Freo's defence is. Defenders should not be wearing all white. It's tough work. Not this bright, clean, obnoxious white suit.
Fair call.
Really good. Really
well
good, Tommy.
Written as well.
I will say, Tommy, I wore that white suit. One of the bosses at Channel 7 said, burn that suit in an email to me. So he wasn't happy with it. Burn that suit. They then put it on social media. I reckon the last year of videos Channel 7 Perth News has put up on Twitter, about 500, 600 views. My white suit video went for 28,000 views. So thank me later, Channel 7, very much. I'll take the $2 fine, but I'll be just cashing in on the money from Channel 7.
Sure.
Matt Cutback, big fan of the podcast. G'day, Matty. Gets a fine. Good on you, Matt. For uttering the phrase Holy Trilogy at least twice in episode 50. It's Holy Trinity. Also fines for Dan and Charlie for being too cowardly to say anything. Yep, $2 for you, Dan. $2 for you, Charlie.
I don't cop that.
Is it Holy Trinity? Can I not say Holy Trilogy?
I mean, the Lord of the Rings, I guess you could say, is a holy trilogy. Like if it's more of a movie thing.
Right, so I've butchered it.
Yes, you have.
Okay, $5 to Will. Anonymous. I got that right. No fines for me, but fines coming to me anyway. On Friday night, when the commentators said that Will coined the term flag mantle, Will did nothing to deny it. That's bloody right. And we know full well that it was the Freo fan pages, at Freo memes, at Caleb 3 votes, and at Freo_hub that started flag mantle. Also, shout out to the people that changed the signs at Optus every week, from Eagle sponsors to Freo sponsors and vice versa. That's got to be a huge job. $2 for a false promotion there. That's garbage, Anonymous. But I'll take the $2. I sat in silence as Adam Papalier on Fox Footy said, flag mantle coined by Will Schofield. Dan, you got any feedback on that, mate? I mean, we have been, Charlie, sorry, we have been talking up on BackChat.
Upping flag mantle, but yeah, it definitely was not you.
What do you want me to say? Pipe up on a live national TV and go, sorry, guys, sorry. Can I just correct you there, perhaps? Just hold on a second. I know the game's going on. Look, I'm not going to take credit for this wonderful piece of work. Was that would you like me to say that?
I mean, I think we've pushed it a lot on this podcast.
Yeah. Well, I didn't. It was specifically said that Will Schofield made that up, which is not correct, but I guess the rest of Australia will never know.
Yes.
No, $2 fine to me. Liv says, a fine for my mate Ryan. I just love these ones. For pronouncing...
Oh, no.
Key.
Yep. As in Elizabeth Key.
Literally as Quay, not Key. How it should be pronounced.
Elizabeth Quay.
So Ryan is saying Elizabeth Quay.
That makes me feel
that's
sick.
a $10, mate. Oh, you can't be butchering it like that. I tell you what. This is from TK. Who gets the fine? Alex bloody Schofield, my wife.
Okay.
And you know what that means? I get the fine. Saying you only pick the hot guys for your fantasy team, yet you have Braden Pruce. He is by no means the definition of a hot guy. Even Stevie Wonder can see that. $5 fine. I'll accept that $5 fine for Alex Schofield. But I will say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, Dan.
Are there any beautiful ruckmen? Oh, Brodie Grundy.
He's not. Okay. I mean, it's not the beautiful guy team, though, is it?
No.
It's the hot guy team. All right, last one. Mark Edwards. I bloody love the buy-in here. If you do want to find somebody, you know where to find it. I'll tell you in a second. I get the fine, $2 for not wearing his beige suit when on for not wearing his beige suit when not on national TV. Almost like he is ashamed of it. So Mark wants the beige suit back
Every time.
$2 fine to me. That's a fair enough fine from you, Mark. If you do want to fine anyone at the podcast or someone else, and I'm sure as shit don't know how we're chasing these up, but we are logging them, you can jump on to our website, backchatpodcast.com.au, and there's a form there. It's bloody easy. It's clearly bloody easy because we had a lot of buy-in.
Yes.
And this is the last one, a segment that's been running a long time on BackChat. I like to call it YSIWRI. You send it, we read it, baby.
Hi, Dan and Scully. Last season, Adam Simpson stated because of soft cap pressures, the club should only recruit boys from private schools.
I do remember that. I think we talked about it.
We did talk about it, yes. Is this upcoming clash against Melbourne worthy of being promoted as the old private school tie fixture? It could be a regular in the AFL calendar. The merchandise departments could produce blazers, ties, and straw boater hats for such occasions. From Andrew Vitolans.
Okay, Andrew Vitolans. I like his email. So he wants the Melbourne West Coast as the private school match of the year. I like it.
Yeah. So it looked like
did you go to private school?
For a bit. Yeah.
Oh, what happened? Is it a long story?
No, I literally woke up one day and I decided I don't want to go to the school anymore and I changed schools.
I feel like this is a long story. Like,
No, I was at Servite College.
Yeah.
Until I went there year 8 and year 9. And then I think partway through near the end of year 9, I said to my mum, I'm going to change schools. And she was like, all right. I went to a private school instead. It was awesome.
Wow.
I think it probably helped with the old school fees. That's for sure. That's for sure.
She was like, "Get out now!" Driving you to the public school right now. Yeah. Charlie, where'd you go?
I did go to a private school, yeah.
What school?
Scotch.
Did you? How do we not know this?
Yuck. Because I don't share it that much.
Scotch College.
Yeah.
Didn't know that about you, Charlie. I wonder if our listeners did. Maybe they bumps you up a bit on the attractiveness scales. I don't know. Maybe down.
I'd say down.
What do you think about that? The old private school tie fixture.
Don't love it. Nah.
Okay, thanks for the support, Charlie. Very good. I like it, personally.
He thinks it's going to put a stain on his private school.
It's just Scotch College that does that, Charlie, not anyone else. Geelong College, I was a private school boy. I like it. Melbourne West Coast, the old private school tie fixture. Very good, Andrew.
Like it.
That's it. Until our guest, who's coming up. It's going to be a big one. Get around our supporters, our sponsors. We love you. Sign up to Patreon. Do your thing. Guest coming up right now. Well, like we know on this podcast, I don't really like doing the introductions. I like getting straight into it. So we are lucky enough to be joined by Dean Margetts, umpire of over, I think, 376 games, if I'm correct.
You're incorrect. It's 377, but that's okay. I'm happy to roll.
376 before his last game, and then he umpired his last game, 377, 110 games in the waffle. So he's umpired almost 500 games of senior footy. Mate, I've got to be completely brutal with our listeners here. I've never been so inspired to ask questions of our guest. This is our 50th episode. Oh, close enough to it anyway. 50th, 56, somewhere there.
Yep.
Is there a banner here? Is it a milestone?
Dean Margetts, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Will. It's great to be here. We've had our numerous interactions over your playing career, which we'll get to later, but I'm happy to be part of the show, and hopefully we can get some great questions from your audience.
Well, we have a chat to our guest before we get into things, and I just said, let's just stop talking. We need to hit record and get into it. I really have so many questions because, I mean, one thing, you don't see umpires in the media. I mean, Ray Chamberlain does his thing over East. He's really the first umpire that I can remember speaking to the public. I want to start with that. I think that's why people have so many questions, is because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of transparency in the profession.
It's one thing I've always would have liked to have done post-game. Hey, Dane, what was that free kick for? And I think people would appreciate the humanising of a decision if we just explained it. Hey, you know what? I got that one wrong. And people would go, wow. Honesty. So I don't know why the AFL doesn't do that, particularly for the senior umpires. Ray's angling for a media career post-footy, so he's got that in place. Hopefully this show can launch my career from here, which I'm hoping
That's the discussion. That's the discussions we've had.
Yeah, so that's where I think this can start to grow legs.
What will help that as well, and the first question we usually ask every guest, that Will does this. He gets so excited that he just likes to get straight into it. But we actually have a question that we ask every guest. We've seen you've done, 377 umpired games, lots in the waffle.
2 waffle grand finals. Couple of prelim finals.
AFL
Life member.
But what's your greatest sporting achievement not on the football field?
So we're here to tell you, look, you're an umpire, great. We don't care. We ask sporting guests we have on here, you know, if you're a footballer, that's great. You've done great things on the footy field. Tell us your best sporting achievement, not in your profession. So, an umpire, I think it's the world's your oyster here,
Yeah,
Dino.
it is.
Tell us your best sporting achievement.
In 1989, I won a silver medal in the walk for WA State Athletics.
Holy shit. So, heel toe.
Heel toe, hips, clunky. Now, I'll tell you how I got to walk. You're going to say, why the walk? When you can obviously run.
Nathan Deeks.
Kind of like Deeksy. So, back in the day, I was actually on the same trip as Scott Cummings, ironically. He was the big Buddha with the throwing and the discus and the javelin, and I was the sort of skinny little runner dude. You had to make the podium to go on a state trip. Yeah. Okay. Now, to get a medal, that's sometimes tough. And I was always running sort of 6th or 7th in the States. I mean, how do I get to go to this trip to Singapore? Like, 15, 16, how good is this going to be? And I said, no one does this walk caper. So my best friend's dad was a coach. I said, let's do this. And we trained hard. And long story short, I won silver at state, got me the ticket to Singapore, had a great trip. And I won silver on the national stage in Singapore against all the little Singaporeans.
Wow.
Huge.
That's right up there, Dan.
Yeah, that's very good.
Right up there.
That was the year that we were born as well, which is, so that adds to it.
Whack.
That's a little bit.
Now, I don't look my age. I haven't had my forehead shined up.
Some great things happened that year. That's what I'm saying.
I told you to wear a hat right there, mate.
I'm just going to adjust your mic slightly, sorry.
So you start your umpiring career at AFL level. 2002?
Yes,
Is that when you
that's
debuted?
correct, yes.
But when did you start umpiring before that?
My story's a pretty unique one, Will.
Well, you're a walker, so...
Yeah, well, that's unique in itself, isn't it? But I didn't walk on the field, did I? I did not.
No, runner.
I'd played my whole life at the Maddington Footy Club from 7 till about 23. I played 57 league games for the senior team. I was the widest receiver you could get. I didn't like pain or hard ball gets, so give me the ball and I'll run. Got to the point where I couldn't play anymore, just got tired of the dead legs, etc. But I still loved the game, so how do you stay involved? So I ended up coaching under 13s team, and it happened to have a player in that team called Dominic Cassisi.
Really?
So I've coached a young kid to ultimately be a captain of an AFL team. So it was quite unique for me to go to Amy Stadium and shake the hand of this boy who I coached at 13.
Did he play in that flag?
He may have. I can't quite
Charlie?
remember.
Thank you.
You check that.
Charlie will have a
I
chat.
only just caught up with Dominic on the weekend, ironically. I'll show you a picture later.
See if he wants to come on BackChat.
Good. But don't steal my thunder because this is my show at the moment. So Dom, you just go and enjoy a few beers and and then I got to the point where I thought, I can't coach anymore. How do I stay in the game that I love? And I'm really passionate about footy. And there was an ad in the local rate that umpires wanted. And I said, how hard could it be? A couple of years I could do that. I can umpire Gozzie playing Thornley, Maddington versus Kenwick. I went and joined up. I spent 2 years at juniors. And just by chance, I was spotted by David Johnson, the then umpire's boss, kind of like my role now in footy.
Yeah.
And he said, I think you got some talent, Dean. I might get you to come down the Waffle. I'm thinking there's no way they're going to send this skinny punk from Maddington a letter to the Waffle. That's just huge. To his credit, he did. So I started Waffle in 1998, did Colts, finished in reserves. I did my first league game in 1999, Freo Derby, East Fremantle, South Fremantle. I did the 2000 grand final, which was part of the East Perth sort of trilogy where they won 3 flags under Tony McCarlin and Jeremy Barnard. And in 2001, I probably would have done another grand final, but I missed a punch to the guts. Scotty Chisholm whacked a bloke in the guts on the wing. I shifted my vision. Coach said, mate, that's going to cost you. So that was my first bit of, whoa, I've had this dream run, and then I missed a grand final. And then in 2002, I made the AFL. So I was almost learning how to umpire at the highest level. So I'm sure there were times where Geesh and Rowan Saw said, no, this bloke really got it. But they stuck with me and hope I paid them back in spades with a 20-year career.
I mean, that's such an interesting point. I think people don't realise perhaps that decisions made and mistakes made by umpires are just as heavily criticised internally. Like umpires get the external criticism, but you guys have got coaches too, right?
And
so you miss a granny because of that.
Anyone who thinks umpires are unaccountable, kidding themselves. Like we've got 34 umpires on the AFL panel, and everyone wants to do a grand final. So how do you get 34 into 3? Assessment, bouncing, management, skills, commentary, everything. I missed probably the 2015 grand final. I guess it was a West Coast North Melbourne prelim at Seaby. Luke Shue went to take a ball and he took out the knees, I think, of one of the Swallow boys. And I just went to blow my whistle and I went, play on. And that split second probably cost me an AFL grand final. It was such a significant error, and that's something that'll sit in the back of my mind forever. But, would I give back what I've achieved? No, but there's just little moments for you. And I'm sure, there's moments in game, if I only had a foiled or I didn't zig when I should have zagged. It's tough.
I mean, that's what kept springing up in my mind, that the more I think about it, the more umpiring and playing are actually quite similar. You guys are in a team. You have coaches. Yep. You have the public scrutiny that players do. You can come in and out of teams. You can miss grand finals.
Yep.
You're in the same game. Yes, you don't have the contact levels, but you're doing a lot of similar things. Your preparation, you have a pre-season.
Yep.
Your training, you have rules. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of similarities. Yeah. I mean, that grand final you missed, so you don't umpire a grand final in your career.
No.
Is that a regret?
Not really, because when I started umpiring, all I wanted to do was umpire in the Sunday League. So to get to Waffle was massive. Then to have a 20-year career at the AFL when I never thought that was possible. No, I don't. I don't have regrets. Would I have loved to have done one? Of course you would. But, I've done Anzac Day games. I've done many Western Derbies. I've been to Dubai for a game. I've travelled around the world with footy. I mean, would I give it all back for a grand final? Probably not.
You keep talking. I'm going to fix Steen's mic because it's swivelling around a bit. I want to make sure everyone hears it properly.
I've got a big list of questions. I think we start at the start. So your debut in 2002, you've come through the Waffle. You're a senior umpire in the AFL now. What makes a good umpire? Like what qualities make a good umpire?
Courage and composure are the two. We talk about the C factor. I could list off 32 C words, and not the C word I get called after games on social media, which we'll cover later.
We're going to do that a bit later. We're going to go through social media posts.
But there is a whole... It takes courage to be an umpire. It takes courage to put on the green shirt to go out and do any game of footy. It takes courage to pay that free kick in the goal square when you know you've got to pay it and the scores are a tie. That's courage. And it takes composure to keep your mind calm when the players are at you, you know the crowd's at you. You just got to be balanced, because when you become engaged with players in a flighty way, I think you can start to lose your mind a bit. They're the two most important. I always like to think of myself as a players umpire. Had good interaction with the players, had good respect. Players could come at me and have a conversation, and I wasn't too concerned about if it got raised or this umpire respect, which I'm sure we'll cover later. So I think that's important, and having a good feel for the game. There's the law book, and then there's rules, and then there's having decision-making in the context of a game. A lot of people ask me, Will, why can't you umpire games like you umpire the grand final? And I'll give you a reason for that. You've got the 3 best umpires in the country and the 2 best clubs. You get a pretty good product. When you're watching a game, North Melbourne versus Port, you might have a guy doing his second game, a guy doing his 38th game, and a guy doing 150. So you're going to get a bit of a up and down performance. And that's no different to players and clubs. We all want to play like Gary Ablett, and we all want to umpire like maybe Brett Roseby. We can't all do that. So that's why the team environment's really important. Now, you're right, we don't sing club songs after, we don't ever win, we don't go and sing an umpire song, but we certainly reflect on our performance, that we think we've gone okay, or we've probably had a poor one. So we're aware of both. What
was the thing that stood out? So you said that you sort of were luckily spotted by the person in your position now. What was it about you that they thought, oh, this guy's actually got something? Like what are those sort of things that you can see?
Tall, athletic, good looking, engaging.
I say the same things as about me, actually.
My draftable qualities. I guess I was a player, so I understood footy. I knew what it was like to get a whack in the face, how I would respond. I had a feel for what that felt like and managing that. But I will share a story. When Jeff Geishan rang me in 2002 and said, we're offering you a contract, he said, Dono, the reason we picked you, because the games that you did in the pre-season, you knew every player's name. And we just thought that was an exceptional way of your ability to want to be part of the system and the effort you went to learning. Now, I was a footy nuffy, so I knew the players. So when I'm going, I think Ashley Sampi and all these sort of newer players, he's like, how would you know those? And to me, that was one of the skills that I had to get in, which is, having the 1%ers, I guess.
Yeah. How important working together in a team? Like, I don't know where to take this. I just got so many. So there's a team of 3 umpires. At any time during the AFL career, was it less than 3?
I was always 3 for me, yep.
You've got to work together. Like, it's not one guy running around and he's the main umpire. There's obviously the controlling umpire and the outer zone umpires.
Yep.
How important is that chemistry?
Significant. I mean, we're always umpiring. There's no such thing as, hey, why are you overruling me? If an umpire sees a free kick, the expectation is we pay it. Because sometimes the way the game's played now, there's 30 players in a 50, and you can't always see. So if the bloke who's 40 metres away sees, Will getting held or Pavlich's arm being chopped, then we should pay that. That's what should happen, and that's what does happen. So the team, and we're all mic'd up, so we're always talking to each other through our earpieces, so we're sharing knowledge, sharing, hey, just watch out, Will scragging that bloke, just be mindful, all those little things, which happened often.
Why do you say that? Why is that an example?
Because you were a scragger, so we'll get to that later.
We're going to have a whole item of Will Schofield's dossier.
He's airing grievances about Will's
This
play.
is Dave Margetts Unplugged, by the way, so we'll get to some unplugging later.
Correct. Did you speak to each other a lot with those mics?
When you needed to. You got to remember, guys actually umpiring moments in games where you got to have your full concentration. So if a person's chirping in my ear, you'd always wait for a stop play if you could, or between goals when we've got that 45 seconds to do so.
And what about the attitude between umpires for like you said, always umpiring, so overruling? Yep. So maybe not missing, but I've seen some where a high tackle might be paid and there'll be someone out of zone saying not higher. Was there ever
occasionally, but generally teamwork is rated so highly in our assessment that if you can pay a free that the other bloke didn't see and you got the courage to pay it, then your share price goes up. So sometimes I feel umpires maybe overlook for that now a little bit. We've got to get the balance right, but generally that's a massive tick for the umpiring group to have that teamwork synergy.
What sort of things are you, is there a list? I'm assuming missed free kicks, incorrect free kicks.
3 criteria: correct, which we all love.
Yep.
Missed and unwarranted. I think most players, and you'll know this, you'd prefer us to miss a free kick because we just can't see what we can't pay, versus blowing a free kick and everyone goes, what the hell was that for? So, the message to umpires is pay what you see, not what you think you see.
And is there sort of just an understanding that you've sort of got each other's back no matter, like he comes in and says, no, I saw that, then you're like, I 100% back you, or are you in the back of your head like,
I might say, look, I didn't really think it was free, but you blow your whistle, it's on you now. So whatever the powers to be say, that's on them. But we never sort of spend too much time on it because it's just the game happens so fast.
How then does the review process work? Do the 3 of you sit down together and go through film or anything like that?
Not straight away. After the game, as we will know, you're pretty knackered. The last thing you do is go through review straight away. But I would go home the next day, go through my game, dump into Smarter Base all my feedback, my good, bad and ugly, and then the coach would do the same, and then we'd have a conversation on Tuesday, either argue a few things, and that happens. It swings and roundabouts. I didn't argue free kicks too much. I believe sometimes you get some and sometimes you don't. And a bit like umpiring. Some players get some and some don't.
What?
He was going to say, yeah, well, I got the don'ts.
I was just thinking that my Smarter Base, I'd be sitting with my coach, bloody arguing away. I tell you, D Margetts, he got that wrong, and that's why I stuffed up. It's the umpire's fault, I'm telling you. What about some big moments then in your career? I know you umpired a prelim final, which you just said that North one, 2015. What about some other big games? You mentioned Anzac Day.
Yeah, it's really special.
Do you remember big moments?
Yeah, I certainly remember my first game, that West Coast game, round 5, 2002. I never forget it for this reason. First of all, it's the best bounce that I've ever done. It was just the perfect spin, the height. I mean, I've never done one since, and I'm a pretty good bouncer.
I was going to say, you were renowned as a good bouncer.
Pretty good bouncer. That was like the perfect everything, you know. Even the sponsors loved the way it spun up, you know, had all the right logo. But I remember having that ball, and for a split second before the siren, when all that adrenaline's coursing through your body, you look to your left, and I had Cousins, Kerr, and Judd, and over there I had Voss, Black, and Ackermanis, I think. And I thought, my God, what am I doing here? These are the game's elite players, and I almost felt like I didn't deserve to be out there. And then you reflect back on that game some 20 years later, and you got like 3 or 4 Brownlow medalists, a couple of runner-up Brownlow medalists, and then they're all Hall of Fame people. So that's a pretty special moment for sure. Anzac Day special, your first final when Gary Ablett was playing for Geelong, they're all special. I had a lot of Hawthorn Geelong games, you know, Isaac Smith after the siren, you know, you're standing there, you're in this greatest moment of all time at the G, and I'm thinking, geez, you know, these are really special times to be part of.
Do you get that, like the third person almost sort of sitting back and do you get a chance to enjoy it? I mean, you're doing a job.
Yes, that one I did enjoy because I remember Sam Mitchell said, I won't say exactly what he said. He said, Isaac, don't stuff this up. But you can imagine what he said.
You can say what he said.
Well,
don't fuck it up. Don't fuck it up,
Mitch said to Isaac, don't fuck this up. This is grand final for us. And I'm sitting there going, how relaxed can these players be in the siren's gone? This is their whole season. And I'm just sitting there grinning, and he missed it, and they sort of just got on with it and moved on. So you got to give them credit for that. They just have this really good disposition.
Wow.
Yeah.
You would have seen some big moments firsthand that people wouldn't get to experience, and not even players would see what you saw, because as players, definitely, well, for me anyway, like you do remember some moments, but you're not removed from it. Like umpires are removed. You're meant to be, you know, a part of what's going on. But do you have other stuff like that? Do you remember sort of interactions between players? And I know you would have seen a lot in 370 games.
Yeah, I remember the Western Derby once, and I think it was the day before. I think Ben Cousins had his tattoo on his chest done the day before, 2 days before. Such is life. My understanding is one of the Carr brothers' girlfriends or wives' friend worked at the tattoo parlour that Ben Cousins had that tattoo, and obviously that got back to them. So in the game, I couldn't work out why Josh Carr's just pinching him and cracking him in the guts. I think he obviously was a bit still sensitive. So that was a game that got out of hand. I think I had like 10 errors in the game. I had a migraine for 3 weeks. So it was just such every moment, guys getting pushed into fences. It was just full on. So I remember that being pretty challenging. I remember James Hird when he had his face caved in that game at Subiaco Oval many moons ago. He got a knee to the head, and I was the umpire on the spot. And I remember going over thinking he'd been in a car accident. His face was everywhere. You know, his fractured cheekbone, blood everywhere. So that's a moment I certainly remember. But there's a lot out there. There's lots of bans from the field. But what I will say, and this is kudos to the players, is, you know, a lot of things have happened off the field which are quite sensitive to some. Players never really raised it on field. That was like a line, a bit of a gentleman's agreement, and I fully acknowledge him for that. The one time that it crossed the line was, remember Travis Cloak? How he was going through a few mental demons and stuff and had a few challenges. He was playing Fremantle, and he was lining up for goals in a quarter, and a Fremantle player, small, diminutive, a little bit aggressive at times, came up and said, may
have been on this podcast.
He said to him, "Hey, Clokey, dark rooms, quiet places, you okay there, mate?" And I'm thinking, oof. So when he kicked the goal, and I went up to his player and said, "Mate, I think that's getting close to the line of, you know, code conduct, you know, personal stuff." And right down, all good. And
I've got to ask, this isn't related at all, but you were on the ground, I believe, paid a free kick when Hayden Ballantyne had a go-ahead goal after the siren.
Yes.
Paid the free kick, not a free kick.
The free kick. The deliberate out of bounds. Who did it?
As Matt Rosa contacted you, Matt, are you watching, Matt? Probably, you should be. You've got to move on, Matt, because this happened so many years ago. Now, he's the footy manager at Peel, and we have interactions in my role at the commission, and he still brings up, that wasn't a free kick, Dana.
That's deliberate. Absolutely. It's not a marking contest.
He just bounced up, bang over the line. It's probably the quintessential insufficient intent / deliberate we probably should use for coaching in all umpiring groups.
Yeah. There you go.
So
Hashtag, hi, Matt, brother.
So then what do you remember? Because, like, obviously he thought it went in.
Yeah.
People were celebrating. Yeah. Hit the post. I was unsure.
It's a really funny story, that, because I thought I'd nailed that free kick, which I did. And on Monday when my coach rang me, I see the old 03. Oh, that's Melbourne. Hello? Talk me through it. I said, yeah, great free kick. I thought, right place, good position. He goes, no, talk me through the set kick. I'm like, what do you mean?
Man on the mark.
Yeah. So what had happened?
Just before you get into it, I copped a 2.5 hour meeting on Monday because of this day.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So the man on the mark stands there, which he has to stand. But
Quinton Lynch,
and then Hayden Ballantyne. The siren's gone, so you must stay in a direct line. But Hayden Ballantyne's wheeled out and made ground, and I should have called play on, no score. Now, in hindsight, lucky it touched the post, no score. And I said to my coach, I said, I don't think the game wants that. I think people want to see that. And then he said to me, I think West Coast players want you to just apply the rules. And it was a really confronting moment because I thought I'd nailed the moment, but when I reflect back on it, I actually got it wrong.
What happened with it, though, was Lynchy moved.
Yeah.
That's what would have made it hard because... And that's why we got the 2.5 hour meeting was how to stand on the mark.
Yeah.
So we were doing the stand rule before the stand rule.
Before your time.
If Lynchy had stood like that, Hayden Ballantyne would have been 15 metres to his right.
And it would have made it more obvious, I guess, yeah. But from the mark's the mark. Wherever I set it, that is the mark. If Lynchy moves off it, that's on me to still know that. So
I want to get to this point because I've seen it across socials and I think it's something that runs around and I think it's a good point to talk about it because we're talking about a free kick given to a Fremantle player to potentially win a game. People on social media talk about you umpiring West Coast and Fremantle. Talk to me about the importance of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Neutral?
Impartiality.
Impartiality is the word. How important is that to you?
It's a word I don't even need to have because it's never been an issue for me. I mean, this myth that I'm a member at the West Coast, I've got my own parking bay, my wife's a receptionist, has just grown legs. And I'll tell you where this grew from, by the way. When I came back from a significant injury in about 2015, I hosted a group of Down syndrome kids at a Fremantle versus Giants game. And I had a beanie on. And the beanie was navy blue and orange. And it had 06, which is my number. It's just a quirky thing I wore. People thought that was a blue and gold beanie, which grew
like
this...
the 06 premiership
something
beanie or
something. Something like that. And then it was kind of crazy. And... they got posts on social. Look at Margetts wearing an Eagles beanie. I'm going, oh my God, it's orange and blue. And it just grew legs. And people often say, hey, does your wife seriously work at West Coast? And I've said to them, have you actually rung 9381, whatever the number is out there, Will, and asked to speak to her? Oh, no, we'll do it. So that is really disappointing. I've got huge admiration for the West Coast Eagles Footy Club, and I've got huge admiration for the Freo Footy Club because I have good professional working relationships with all administrators, all coaches and players at both clubs. So I've spent 20 years of my life being there, educating, going on community camps with them, and you build rapport. But as you know, Will, when you're out there, the game's the game. It happens too quick. It's too fast. I can't even think, hang on, my mum goes to West Coast, but my dad goes for Collingwood. How am I going to... It can't happen. It just cannot happen. And if I wanted to throw a game... my career would have lasted one game and it wouldn't be a good payout because I wouldn't have had the success I had through that. So I get really agitated with that notion.
As you should. I guess I wanted to ask it so you could actually speak to it because, I mean, that's one really big point I wanted to get you on here for is add that human element because I hear things like that and my first reaction is, what a fucking joke. My second reaction is, as a player, although I like playing, you're an umpire I remembered a lot, to be honest, because I think we're able to give each other shit. I think I was able to tell you what I thought, and you'd come back at me sometimes, and I actually respected that. Yep. But overall, I used to come away thinking, fucking Dean, he was looking after the opposition too much. But I reckon, in hindsight, I actually thought that every single umpire I ever played against, played with. But yeah, I just sort of see that, and I think the same thing as you. Clearly, it's about you, but I think the game happens so fast, so quick that, and you're such an experienced, well-versed umpire across many seasons that, I think it's disrespectful, to be really honest.
I remember I called your program last year when I was listening. I was actually driving. I think I was even driving to the game. It was the day before my last game, the Western Derby, and some clown rang up and said, Will, and I think it might have been Simon Beaumont, I know for a fact that Jeff Dalglish and Dean Margetts have West Coast Eagle memberships. I know that for a fact. And I'm driving along going, how can you possibly know that?
This was before your last game, I remember
I rang up and I spoke to the producer, and my name comes up at 6 p.m. now. Oh, Dean will put you through. So I kind of feel like a bit of a VIP now. It's really good.
In fairness to me, I shut him down on air, by the way. I was like, look, mate,
it was good.
I don't think that's at all.
And I just rang him and I obviously went through it and I said, that's just an insane comment. Until, Will's great, he texted me and said, thanks for calling it. So sometimes the humanising of nonsense is important, and I hope people would sort of appreciate me being a bit more honest. And now that I'm umpiring, I can share a few more stories and I don't have to go through the AFL and get clearance. I can be a bit more me. Because I think people would appreciate, and I've met lots of people and I've had these conversations in this sort of forum, and most people are going, oh God, he's actually human after all. He's a decent sort of bloke. And I think most umpires are. We're all decent human blokes.
The point off the top, right, is there's no access to umpires. There's access to players and coaches and everyone else.
Yeah.
There's no access to umpires.
I don't think we should be protected. We're all grown men. We're not shrinking violence. We should be able to get on in front of the lights and say, you know what, I made a mistake. This is what I thought, but the AFL seem a bit protected of us. And I understand, but I reckon people want to see it. So I'm thinking about having Dean Margetts access all areas. That could be my new show.
Totally.
Maybe. Does that
Triple A.
They have Steve Jabby, I think his name is, has a spot in the NBA, and he's a retired referee, and they go to him mid-game, like, what did you think of that call? And he's like, I probably wouldn't have called that or whatever. And it's really interesting. I love it.
I think that we did that in the AFL. Remember when John Russo did it many years ago?
Channel 10 when there was
that's
running
right.
hot.
Yes, yeah. So if any broadcast is looking for a Dean Margetts person,
BackChat.
BackChat. Yeah.
Do they do a last 5 minute report that gets out where missed and made calls are addressed in the AFL?
It's too late sometimes. It comes out Wednesday. People don't care Wednesday. They want to know post-game or maybe 24 hours after.
Yeah.
I think that's where we miss it a bit. And I think we can make some inroads if we were a bit more open with it, yeah.
What about the art? We've got some questions about the art of umpiring, some stuff that happens. I just have questions about. I'll go off the top. How do you measure a 50-metre penalty?
Do you know how big the centre square is?
I thought it was different at every ground.
Isn't that funny? So we've got a player here who's on reasonable coin.
So don't do this.
No, I'm going to do this because it needs to be, because this frustrates me, because these players, the AFL players, go out onto the oval, and if I ask Will you this question, that point post and that goal post, what's the distance between that?
It's for 18 metres from point to point.
See, it's close, but I would say to players, shouldn't you know? Isn't knowledge power? Isn't the more you know, the better? Anyhow, the square's 50. I know every
rule.
By 50.
If you did a quiz with me and asked me about rules, what would happen if we did this? I know every rule, and it used to piss me off how many players wouldn't know rules.
Audience, queue up this. Zone in. Can we do a close-up shot here? Will, I've just taken a mark. Okay?
Well, you're umpiring.
Okay. No, I'm joking. I've taken a mark. I've gone...
He's Ben Brown. He's taken a mark.
I've gone behind the goal line.
Yes.
I've gone to kick it and it's hit the goalpost.
Yes.
Now you're the umpire. What are you doing?
I am balling it up at just 10 metres out from goals.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, audience. So here's a player who just thought he knew everything and he's got it straight off the bat wrong.
What's the answer?
That's actually a reset kick.
Really?
Have that again. That's just reset that one. So you would.
At least I didn't say it's a score.
No, but you got it wrong. It was clearly wrong, and you said you wouldn't get it right, so that's okay.
That's very good.
We might throw a few more later because I might get this 3 strikes, so we're 1 strike down.
I find if anything, umpires are usually a little too generous with the 50. Because I think there was one last week that I saw that was 65. It was they marched, they kept going. Surely going to stop them.
Yeah,
but obviously it's hard to you don't have a measuring tape. You got to go off feel. So that's sort of part of it. Are you counting steps? Are you going just by
no? Using land, I didn't answer your question. Sorry, we're using the landscape of the ground. From goal line to 50 is 50. The centre square is 50. So you've got a rough idea using those. Now, if you get within 5 metres, I think we'd accept that. 65 is way to whack. You disadvantage your team. That's why knowing your landmarks is important. But certainly the 50s are 50 at all grounds. That's why the SCG 50 looks very close to the square. At Optus, it's different because that's just the way it is, yeah. And by the way, just so you know, everyone, the distance between point post and goal post, it's all 6.4 metres. So point post to point post is 19.2. Now, how far is a legal kick? 15 metres. So that's the way we measure those little dump kicks across goal. Either not 15 play on or pay them up.
What about this one? So this year it was, it was a little bit of umpire dissent, but it was also It was umpire dissent. And an overcorrection or an overreaction when a new rule or new adjudication is coming out that we see usually at the start of a year, but sometimes, mid-season they tweak how they're adjudicating, or you tweak holding the ball rule or whatever. How does that happen? How is that actually pushed down to umpires? And then is there sort of like a WhatsApp group with umpires that you kind of all going, well, we just got told that, but do you have a chat? And is that how that
We have a
works?
WhatsApp group, but that's not normally the chat, generally. I think what we see is there's generally like a bit of a crank up in the pre-season. Obviously, that Carlton-Melbourne game, it was
like
crazy,
9
Melbourne.
Yeah.
But what happens is the premiership team from the year before are very generous in their feedback to umpires because all of a sudden they're bullish and we're the premiers and they give a bit more feedback.
Is that
That's fair income, yep, definitely.
I
And I think
would
your
probably agree.
career change post-premiership,
me personally?
Yeah, you got more creative with your feedback. I'm a big dog now. I'm a premiership. Here's my medal. And
I don't think I did that, Dean. That's
I
not
think that's
fair.
probably-
that's Geelong, Hawthorn. Mature players, very confident in themselves, and when they're successful, I always found that they're a bit more,
That's interesting.
a bit more clever with their feedback and strong.
Yeah, right. So, and then if it does, what is said in the umpires WhatsApp? Is it pure business or?
Nah, a lot of it's crazy stuff. We're no
Banter.
different to players, stupid pictures that you see,
ragging on each other's calls, like
ragging,
Yeah.
silly photos and stuff. A lot of guys, have got shares in horse. You see a horse, all this sort of no different to footy clubs at all.
Yeah.
Probably even worse at times. I'm dare say.
What about with these the rules that get brought in that there's such a hot focus on? Is there a point where they're like, all right, cool, we've established that that's a rule we're calling now. Do you start to sort of cool it off a bit?
There's no such thing as rule of the week. I just got to just dispel that notion. Our coaches will say, look, we've got a focus area this week because we missed some deliberate out of bounds. Let's just go back to the cues. What we're looking for. Let's just remind ourselves. Don't pay what you can't see, but just a focus area. Some areas are really good at holding the ball. Great this week. Well done. Stick to the cues. Dive on the ball. Legal tackle. Holding the ball. If they're not knocking it out. So we have focus area. This rule of the week nonsense, which media tend to sort of percolate out there, is inaccurate.
Yes.
What concerns me with media sometimes is, on a listen to Friday night, and the commentators will say, this is Luke Hodge and Daisy Pearce, and they're legends of the game. But when they keep saying, oh, there's two hands in the back there, why didn't they pay that? There's no such rule as hands in the back. That rule went out 4 years ago. It's either a push in the back or the players
You can
holding
hold
their
the
ground.
ground,
100%. So when they see hands in the back, and when BT says it, people at home go, well, BT says he must be right. And I'm just sitting at home tearing my hair out because it's just so wrong.
Do umpires educate broadcasters?
We should. Absolutely. 100% we should. And I don't know why the AFL don't just say text channels and say, hey, guys, you're getting that wrong. Please correct it and say it right. I mean, that should be where the AFL and the media are sort of in harmony and getting those messages right. I think it's
Because I
important.
always used to enjoy pre-season. So I guess for listeners and watchers, we spend pre-season training, but like especially later in my career, umpire used to be down there every week.
Yep.
Might have been you,
Yeah.
might have been some of the other fellow. Dalglish was down
Defo,
there.
yeah.
A couple of other guys. We'd have one big meeting that was usually like it was like the big reveal of
The big reveal,
these are the rules. These are the ones that are changing. We're going to go through them.
Yep.
And it was either you or someone else had been like drawn in the short straw who had to present
copying
it to
it
the
from
players.
everyone.
Yeah, because it was an open forum.
Yep.
It's
Gosh.
all the players and coaches, and you can ask questions.
Yep.
Which was good, but it was always, without doubt, there was no like, oh, geez, Dean, you had a great year last year, mate. Like, you paid so many great free kicks. It was always
None
like,
of
what is that?
Yeah.
Tell us about this.
Yeah,
I
you're
used to
right.
enjoy them, though.
You're right.
And it goes back to the umpire dissent and relationships with
100%.
players.
Yeah. I mean, I will share a funny story with the audience. I remember there was a whole raft of new rules. I think it might have been the stand rule about 3 or 4 years ago when it came in. And I remember Simo got up in front of the group and said, okay, all right, guys, you've got 30 seconds to talk to your mate Niels. How can we exploit this rule? And I'm sitting in the room going, this is why we have no chance. And when you
That's
probably
great.
remember, the coaches would actually say that. And I'm standing there going, okay. Then I get all these crazy questions. So what if I do this? I'm thinking, whoever asked, I think might have been Tom Barras last year said, okay, so if I've got the ball, I'm going for goal. So I said, first of all, when are you going to be going for goal? Secondly, he goes, if I charge at the bloke at the last minute, deviate, and you haven't called playing, what do? I said, I want to see you do that. So you get some crazy. Shanahan was the worst. He'd say, no, Dino, he'd go through all this hypotheses of what he would do, and I'm thinking to myself, if you ever do that in a game and stuff my career or my season, I'll kill you. And to his credit, he didn't, but he'd always leave me these little lingering doubts. He's the sort of guy that would do this in a game. Good fella, like Shannon.
The hands in the back thing made me think of. So the umpires used to come down and umpire sometimes drills, but
Match
mainly
sim,
match
yeah,
sim,
yeah.
right? And I always used to interact a lot to see what I could get away with, honestly, because it was training. Can I get away with this push? Can I get away with this hold? Can I do this and that? Is that a good thing for umpires as well? Do you still enjoy that?
Yeah, you can't simulate drills.
Not can I get away with
no,
it?
No,
But
the
is
good
this
question.
right or wrong?
Absolutely. And I think we can't simulate drills at training with our guys. So going to the players and the clubs is the best way. They're fighting for spots in games. They're pushing the envelope a bit. And for us, we really enjoyed that. And there's no substitute for match sim like when we go to the clubs.
There was I'm just going to
No.
There was a stage where there was, no hand. You could use no hand on the elbow,
That's
if you remember that.
I do.
And then it went from, you could hold your ground to you couldn't push at all, and then you could push, and then you can hold your ground with your two hands. And so every year you have to change. It was a lot of it affected backman, to be honest.
Absolutely.
And I'm a grumpy backman, BackChat.
Arm chop, all that stuff.
It's to make the game high scoring and harder to defend.
Yep.
How do you see the overall game in terms of rules that come in like that? Now you're out of the picture. Did you enjoy changes?
I don't mind. I mean, people say, did you like changes? Whether I liked it or didn't like it, it didn't matter. I had to apply them. It's like policemen. If you don't like that speeding zone there, well, we're going to complain to the commissioner. You just got to accept the law book and apply it quickly and educate the players as best we can, and then we get the happy medium. But certainly, I think the 666 has been okay. I think the stand rule's okay. The only problem with stand is it's exhausting because you're exhaling all the time. It's like, I want that air in my lungs, and sometimes the player's not moving. Stand, it's constant. And do people at home want to hear that all the time? I don't know.
What about the nominate ruck rule?
Okay, now I need to dispel the myths. Now, people go, it's like Auskick. The reason that was brought in because ruckman didn't know who was contesting. Now, Kurt Tippett got a knee in the head.
That doesn't surprise me.
Kurt Tippett got a knee in the head in the Giants game, and from that day on, it was because all these people went up and he didn't know who he was competing against. So the reason we do it, it's like, well, Dan, yep. So then you know who you're competing against. No one else can come through. It's just you two. And no one's going to be smashing you in the head. So it's not to be Auskick. It's to make sure the ruckmen are clear on who's about to compete for that ball in.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it that way.
Yeah, that's what happens. No one thinks. But if they ask, you get the answer. You go, that's not a bad idea. See what's happening here? Harmony.
Just get down into the clubs a bit more, Dan.
Yeah, well,
you do a team meeting a week and you just get abused up the front.
I might become an umpiring consultant now. New title.
What was the I'd like to hear Dean's take on your little trick that you used to pull. So I remember you saying,
I wonder if he knows any of my
umpire
tricks.
Position, and you used to put hand on the shoulder.
I didn't know where the umpires were, but I had a few, right? So we'll see if you picked any of these up. When I spoiled, and this probably got called 3 times in my career, and I reckon every spoil I ever did, I did it. One of my hands, usually my left, would be on the opposition player's shoulder, and it just looked really natural, but always I'd be higher than my opposition because you can't jump with it.
Yeah.
And so that was one. I had one I always found a hold of the jumper would be held.
Yep.
Called.
Yep.
You guys can see
when
the jumper
when the
hold.
sail comes out.
So did a lot of practice at training about holding with body parts, holding wrists, and I was a scragger. You're right. Holding hips, holding body. Like if you're going to grab here, you cannot be grabbing the jumper. You need to be grabbing the ribs, grabbing the hips, grabbing the legs.
So for the last 60 seconds, you've just told us all how much you tried to basically
got to do it, mate.
break the laws of the game. And then when I caught you out, you would then abuse me for it. Is that extraordinary in itself? He's just admitted in every contest he's just about made. But that's what the game's about. The players will challenge us to make the call. I went on a pre-season camp with Hawthorn once for 5 days on the Gold Coast back in 2005. And I remember being in the meeting with Alistair Clarkson, and he used to say, boys, I want you to challenge these blokes. And he's pointing at us. I'm going, what do you mean? Deliver it out of bounds. Kick it out there. They might get it right 80%, but if we get that 20%, we've got to stop it. We'll take that. I was like, wow, people go to that nth degree, and you have to look back on his career and go, that's pretty reasonable.
You wonder where Simo got it from.
Maybe, yeah. The Hawthorn coaching clinic.
What about away and home crowds and home crowd advantage, home crowd to the noise of affirmation,
Pressure to call something.
Yeah, pressure or cheering or booing or.
I think initially in your career, it's there when you're learning. You sort of it's a little there. As you get longer in the tooth, it's just a bit of. I hate using this word, but this white noise thing. It's a bit like that. Free kick counts. When you go, oh my God, Freo have had 39 free kicks and Giants have had 10. How's that possible? The reality is we don't get a sheet that says, boys, you've got to square this up. This is crazy. If they're generally there, we'll pay them. It could be 50-2. Sometimes we might do a review and it might be even more for the the team that's got the most free kicks. If you pay the warranted, that's all we ask for. So free kicks don't have to be even. We don't discuss them. And it's never generally an issue. I mean, when you walk off the field and you look at it, geez, didn't feel like that. Sometimes it happens. But the team in front, winning by 100 points, is generally first of the ball. They're getting the free kicks for high. They're getting the poor tackles. And some teams are pretty ill-disciplined with their tackling, and it does cost you frees. So
what do you talk about at quarter time, half time, three-quarter time, and after the game?
Quarter time, we might get some feedback from our coach up in the box, just saying, good start, guys, good intensity levels, just general stuff. We don't get a whiteboard up and say, hey, guys, really awesome free kick there against Will Schofield. He's holding on.
I thought maybe you might get numbers of, you've hit 10 out of, you've got 10 out of 10 right.
No numbers. Because what if a coach said, don't you miss 6 free kicks in the first quarter? So in my mind, then, my God, do I miss more? Do I pay more?
Compensate.
Stress levels go up.
Welcome to fucking time as a player, Dean. I'll tell you what happens at quarter time in the player huddle. Scoey, you've missed 6 targets, mate. You need to try and run it out in the second quarter like, oh, this is
I only made 6 errors in my career, so I don't know how you went with one game. But we get feedback mostly post-game because there's so much happening and we can't review. Sometimes I'll say up, was that okay? And the coach might say, yep, looks okay. And you get the feedback like it was an error because they know that it might play with your mind. Yeah. So you've got to be mindful of that.
That's the other thing, like make-up calls, is that, I mean, I feel like it happens, but...
It's a dirty word, Dan. Does not happen.
It doesn't?
Nope.
Does it or
What's
not?
a make-up call mean? What does it mean? Tell me what you mean.
Okay, so you've missed a high tackle. In your mind, you're like, I probably should have paid that.
Blatantly high tackle.
The next time it comes around, maybe that's not a high tackle, but you're like, I'm going to give it to make up for the last one.
So just make it up.
Well, not make it up, but you're like, if it was 50-50, you're going to err on the side of give the decision.
Never happens.
Never.
Well, I can't speak for other umpire, but for me, you can only pay what you see and take it on. It's like walking down a hotel corridor, right? You open up one door, free kick, good, close. Next one, boom. You can't be going, oh my God, did I leave the iron on in that room? You just got to keep moving forward because it'll just haunt you forever. You look haunted, Dan, too.
Dan's a big West Coast fan, Dan, and
you're hurting, mate. I understand. You're hurting.
He's a bit.
No, it's just I'm not saying it like it just. I feel like it happens a lot in basketball. Like there's other sports where I think that the umpires or officials go, like, I need to make up for that mistake.
Yeah, I don't think that happens.
Okay.
But certainly umpires are human, and I know I've made a mistake. No one feels worse than the umpire. I remember I missed a high tackle to Mark Lacroix in a derby many years ago. Shot me, man, took his head off. And I was just in a position where I could not see. And the crowd goes up and I go, oh my God. Lacroix goes off at me and I'm thinking, oh, then I look at the replay and oh my God, his head's still bouncing down the Hay Street Mall as we speak. But I went up to Mark and said, look, mate, I just missed it, mate. And he was okay with it. He still reminds me to this day. But,
I was going to say, I reckon he's told me about that.
Yeah. I'm going to go down to Savannah's and umpire him too. We've got to square the ledge at me and Lecker, so we'll sort it out in the coming weeks.
Is there specific players that you remember giving you more feedback than others? Or
you know what I found? The players, when they're coming close to the end of their careers, started going crazy. Really? Matt Pavlich couldn't do what he used to do, frustrated. Mark Lacroix, not as nippy, missing the goals, couldn't do it. Will Schofield, scrag more than ever. You knew that was coming. Yes. So you know that because you just can't do what you don't have the same speed, you don't have the same goal, you don't have the same smarts. And I find that the players coming to the end, you just know.
Did you get better as an umpire as you got older?
Yeah, I did.
Right to the end?
Yeah.
To the very end?
Yeah.
I wish I was, no.
No, seriously.
I still got in the player in me. I'm like,
I knew I wasn't as fast as I used to be, but I still thought I was in really good physical condition. So, I would have liked to have done a couple more years, but that happens.
Does the umpire dissent piece that's being honestly, I spoke to you for probably 3 weeks ago about umpire dissent, and it was really being rolled out hot by Brad Scott, saying no level of dissent is acceptable. We don't accept any level of dissent. Didn't really define what dissent was, and that was kind of my issue. What do you think of player umpire relations? Up until you retired and in general right now.
As good as it's ever been, to be honest. I mean, and that's all on the back of the visits we have, the rapport we build. I think players really respect the role that we have and understand how hard our job is. So the dissent thing, I didn't know where this arms out came from. It was never even mentioned any time last year, so I don't know where it came from. These 6,000 short umpires that Gill obviously raised in the AFL, I'm not sure putting your arms back is going to stop that, if you know what I mean. I don't know if that's relevant. The one that hurt us the most, in my view, was Easter Monday. When Jack Gunston and Tom Mitchell were talking 50 minutes off the ball, and they sort of pointed at the screen and said, hey, Umpy, was that a free for that? That's not dissent. That's a conversation between players. And if we don't blow that 50, no one's even talking about it. The fact that the umpire blew the whistle said, respect. Everyone's going, oh, what was that for? Then when you go and look at it, you go, oh, my God, I reckon that put more pressure on umpiring by paying that than if we had to just let it go and had the conversation. So I reckon that one hurt us a bit. I understand the aggressive arms out, throw the mouth guard, point at the scoreboard, but the one on Friday night when I think was it Mackenzie when he said, "Hey, hit the ground," that wasn't aggressive. That was just having that was just interaction. I just reckon that's a little bit strong. We've gone a little bit too far.
I mean, some umpires. I mean, not every umpire is the same. No single umpire is the same as the other. You have different personalities. You have, the different abilities, different talent, different experience. How does that get balanced with, I guess, what you do in terms of, is it the same as players? You got young players, old players,
100%.
and everyone in the
no
middle?
doubt. You got good decision makers. I mean, I could umpire you where you'd know me by first name, but there'd be an umpire come from Melbourne, you wouldn't have a clue who he was. So you're not sure what the boundaries are. Now, my dissent boundaries would be far greater than a second gamer. I mean, Brad Scott made a bit of his rod for own back. He put this new rule out there and then said, but it's up to the umpire to make the call. Yes. Well, if I make the call that I don't think it's aggressive, am I going to get clipped or what does that mean? So I think it left it a bit ambiguous.
They've wound that back, by the way, just so we know. They're not paying those hands out as much.
Well, the players aren't doing it as much either. But, in that game, we were talking about that Friday night game, there was a couple of pretty aggressive ones. We didn't pay those, and the guy just sort of pointed at the ground, we paid it. So there's that inconsistency, and that's where the frustration is sometimes born.
Yeah, okay.
What about Brownlow votes? I'd love to find out how that all works, your thought process and who you give votes to. Do you get to see stats before you make your decision? All of that.
No, it's a good question. I get asked. That's probably the most question. That's the highest rating question I get. Is how's Brownlow work?
It's taken a while to get into that.
Yeah, that's good. Some days it's really easy. It takes 5 minutes. Some days it can take us 45 minutes because we know how important the award is.
See you together?
Yep, all three of us. So 4 of us, the emergency umpire comes in, just gives us his feedback because he sits there and watches it from the ground. So, okay, fair enough. Generally, it validates what we're thinking. Do we get a sheet? There you go, Dean, that's the sheet. No, we don't. If I'm walking off the ground and some numbers flash up, I'll glance at it as a cursory, but it doesn't sort of form my view that, oh my God, he had 38 kicks, so we've got to have, that doesn't matter. It's influence on game. Who had the most influence on this match? And I'm using West Coast players, Will, since you played there, I'll throw it back to you. If Josh Kennedy kicked 9 goals, Tim Kelly had 41 disposals, or Jerry McGovern took 23 intercept marks and kept Buddy to 2 goals, who are you giving the votes to? That's the conversation.
I don't know.
You don't know. So they're the things we go, who influence, how do we go? And sometimes it's subjective.
I'll tell you what, it's not the backman. That's the answer.
No, it's never going to be the backman.
Did you ever get any votes at all?
1 game.
Wow.
And I looked up if you umpired, and I was like, please tell me you weren't. No, you weren't.
I was going to hang my hat on that one too.
It was Carlton at West Coast, and I would have just...
That's impressive, isn't it, to get one?
Oh, very, very happy as a backman. I got 1 vote. I may have been confused and linked together with 2 players. I mean, honestly, I played better games than that and was more influential. And, it was one thing like in my career, I wasn't often in the best. I played my role a lot. That's what I was. I was a role player, but I wouldn't wake up in the morning and see my name in the best players.
Yeah.
But the games I did, I never got Brownlow votes for.
Do average players say that? I'm a role player. Is that their go-to?
Is that what you reckon?
No, I'm just asking. I'm just saying that.
Oh, Dean. I like this attitude, Dean. I'll come straight back at you.
I've got 20 years pent up. I want to release the man.
Well, this is a perfect time. Talk about our relationship on the field. Do you have any specific memories of Will Schofield on the footy field?
It was more the Tuesday sessions after the game. Like sometimes if I'd paid some frees against Will, which he thought were poor, when we come to the clubs, he just wouldn't talk to me. He just would turn his back on me. He'd get really prickly. He wouldn't move on. And that's a true story. And that's why I'm glad you asked that question. Because
I thought I was always quite interpersonal.
You were generally. But if you felt there was a couple on the weekend that didn't quite go your way, then Tuesday or whatever Wednesday session, it didn't work for Will and I.
I could see that.
It was like Will and Grace arguing, but there was no love.
I remember pretty much every free kick that was ever given against me, Dean. So I've got a list of them here.
There's 1,000 on there.
No.
I think Will said 2 weeks ago that you've actually never given away a free kick.
I can't remember ever doing something in the game that deserved giving a free kick away.
If we just go back to that 60 seconds of all the things you did, tried to do, manipulated, knew the umpire was to do it this side, that was impressive. The thought that went into that planning, I like that.
I reckon to get away with the free kicks, I would have given away 15 free kicks a game. That's one thing. If every free kick was paid during a game of footy, you blokes would be even more unpopular than you are.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Because so you don't pay every free kick that's there. So I get into it a bit on social with people when I start calling out stuff like that. Oh, well, there's a free kick. It's in the rules. you don't pay every free kick that's there, Dan.
Because there's that subjectivity and that technicality. So if I just glance Dan's shoulder, is that a high tackle? Technically yes, but do we want to pay that? Probably not. So because we could pay 100 free kicks in a game. The average is about 37.8. And when it goes to 50 or a mum, we're like, oh, that's a lot of free kicks. So they'll probably review that game more than the other ones because of this, the trend is your friend scenario.
Yes.
So that might highlight it a bit to the powers that be.
What about notorious like duckers and people that ham it up a bit? I mean, it's obviously it's hard because they're trying to sell a free kick. So what about that notion around calling a sold free kick?
Yeah, well, the rules have changed. So ducks now prior opportunity. If you get tackled on your arm and you flip it up, a bit like the players we're talking about, without naming names. But
I will. Luke Shuey, Joel Selwood.
Yep, I didn't name them.
No, absolutely.
Former player did. So the rules have sort of helping us to protect that. There's some players absolutely still do it, but again, you can only pay what you see. But certainly, should I go into a game thinking, okay, if that bloke flips and flops, don't pay it. If it's genuine, we should pay it. He deserves it.
Go back to the Browlow Medal. So you guys come up with your 3-2-1.
Yep.
Do umpires have a better idea than a punter would of who's going to win the Brownlow each year, honestly?
This is a really good question. And people say the umpires can't do it. They've got too much to worry about, too much to concentrate on. It's the most sacrilege award in footy, isn't it? We have the West Australian Player of the Year, the Herald Sun Player of the Year, the MVP, all that palaver. Now, if we got 4 media people to do the Brownlow, it is so open to corruption. So I mean, all the media punters punt on footy. We know that. You can tell by their mood changes in the box and that. So if you could imagine them sitting here going, okay, let's just work this out. You telling me they wouldn't be ringing India and Mumbai? And it couldn't happen. This is one award where it's a bit like Fight Club. You just don't talk about Fight Club. Yeah. It's like Brownlow Club. We do the votes, and that's it. Once we sign that back to that armour guard slip, that's it. We don't talk about it again. Now people say you must know. I said, how can I know? I do one game a week of 23 rounds. There's 8 other games happening, which I have got no clue what's going on. So how could I know? Even if I wrote them all in my little notebook, I couldn't still track them, could I? It's not possible.
Do umpires get invited to the Brownlow?
Only the grand final. This hurts. This hurts this bit. It's the umpires award, but we only get the 3 grand final umpires from the year before only get invited. Why is that?
Why is that?
I hate that. It's the one thing. If Gil could change that before you leave, because I've umpired for 20 years, and the only way I got to a Brownlow was last year because I was at home in Optus and we were invited, which was nice.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Brett Rose needs to go to 9 or Matt Stafford needs to go to 8. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's right. We should have a table of 10 and we just rotate it. Once you're in 100 games, you get a chance to go and you can say I've experienced it.
I think all umpires
The Brownlow Medal is not part of the grand final. It's home and away.
Yes.
It's a bit of a nonsense. That's a prickly thing for me.
Do you watch it all together?
No.
Do you care? Do umpires care?
We're interested.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you might go, oh, I remember write that one down. You try and remember.
I was going to say
you try and remember.
Yeah.
But
one vote Schofield. You're like,
no, we'd all remember that. Celebration.
Dean, I love your aggression. I really do. This is why I respected you as an umpire. What about the tribunal then? Okay, so Brownlow Medal, that's how you deal with that. Tribunal is an umpire thing as well.
Not anymore.
No, it's not.
No, we report it. Chris, I ring up and say, I donate that report you made against Schofield. We've had a look at it. This is what we think. What do you think? I said, that's pretty much what it is, and that's it. It's no 10 years, 15 years, I have to put the suit on, go into the city, sit in the room like this, get the QC. And it was like a full-on panic attack. You're getting grilled by QCs and judges and going, hey, I just saw Will whack that bloke. That's all I saw. Can I go now? It gets pretty full-on. It's intimidating.
Have you reported many people on-field reports?
Yeah, maybe.
Buddy Franklin, I remember.
I did. That got a bit of courage because you report a high-profile player and then you're on the back page of the paper. I didn't report Tom Hawkins for the touchy thing that happened at Geelong.
Was that you?
Yeah, it was me, yeah.
That's interesting.
Funny story, that one.
Tom's been on this. On BackChat.
Has he really?
Yep.
Has he apologised? Anyhow.
To who? Me. He whacked me in a elimination final.
Did he really?
No,
Nothing.
No umpires. Wow. No one came to my defence. So don't act like you're all high and mighty. No human eyes.
I got nothing.
No human eyes. No. Yeah.
In that game was Giants and Geelong at Jimba Stadium. It's a long trip from a boy from Perth. We went down there and I paid a 50 against Tom. And as he came toward me, I said, Tom, easy. And he sort of knocked my hand away. It was a bucket reflex. I didn't think much of it. I said, mate, Tom, just don't touch me. And then nothing happened, get in the car, and my phone's blown up. I thought, well, what's going on here? And then obviously it became a massive issue, the umpire contact, on the back page of the Herald Sun, and you all of a sudden become pretty famous in the footy landscape. So I never felt aggrieved by it, but I don't think it's a good look for the game if you've got high-profile players doing that, because obviously the filter is not good. And we have contact issues with umpires at junior level, and that's not good. And we saw the Toby Green one. That was a pretty strong message. But if you look at that, I mean, that's just average, I would have thought. I mean, you got Matt Stevick in a fluoro green shirt, and you got a player walking towards him. Oh, I didn't see you. I mean, do you see like the bloke in the fluoro vest on the road? I mean, give me a spot. So, anyhow.
Yeah, it's interesting because umpires are right there. You're right in the contest. You're right. It's not like you don't exist.
Yeah.
So it is potential that stuff like that happens.
I can take clips and knocks and bumps. No, sorry, mate. Yeah, it's all good. But the ones where it's a face-to-face interaction, I think they're a bit different.
Did you get any hits?
Yeah.
Backing out of a stop.
Yeah, Stuart Lowe hit me at Amy Stadium once.
Stewie Lowe.
I think he's still on the ground. He never got up. I was worried, but I was like Michael Tuck, hard wiry.
I'm surprised you're just sitting here right now. You're not split in half. He was a big man, Stewie Lowe.
He had hands like, it was extraordinary. Like he could hold like, they reckon, 26 eggs in his cupped hands. But yeah, that's going a long way back now, yeah.
Do you practice running backwards?
I get asked that question all the time. Like a lot of people ask that. We do. They are part of the drills, but not like you do laps and laps backwards. But they are part of it because sometimes you have to run backwards.
Is there direction to that? Like in terms of when you're coming to this angle of the play, you need to flip around and run backwards.
Not really. Just how you feel in the game. If you're doing a 50, you obviously want to back off because players are charging you. You've got to have comms with players. Just hold there. We'll keep out of the zone. So I'm running backwards a fair bit, but we don't practice it like we don't do laps and laps doing backwards running. That would be a bit of a nonsense.
Imagine.
I know you almost marked the ball once. It came at you pretty close.
I did, yeah. I never.
You almost had a Peter Carey.
Nearly.
You sort of ducked.
Yeah, but that duck, they still shot at me almost looking like an alien, and that got played around. I said that was a horrid look for me. Yeah, umpire blunder it was titled, and I was like, yeah.
What about bouncing the ball? Because part of me, the person who just loves like the traditional aspect of footy, like wants to keep the bounce, but if you never bounce the ball and you always throw it up, it would always be an even contest. So will there ever be a time where they get rid of the bounce?
Why don't we just get a round ball down and just have an even contest everywhere? Let's just do that, make it all flat and normal.
No, but to start the game, then it's even, but then the ball can go crazy.
So let's just have a tip.
That's my question.
But let's just get NBA players in, just do tip offs, just have a nice flat.
That's what people are calling for. Penalty's out there calling for it right now because Grundy went down with an injury. That's why.
If Brody doesn't go down, is he bringing it up? No. I wouldn't have thought so. No, I think the great thing about our game is just the nuance of the oval shaped ball, the bounce, the Stephen Mill. That bounces to him. He's a premiership player. That bounces the other way. He's not. His career's defined by that. Bouncing the ball, I can bounce it pretty straight most of the time. Ray Chamberlain not as high. Matt Nichols really high. So there's varying heights, and players have to adjust. And sometimes they drift off, and we call play. And I think that's the great thing about our game. Having said that, I don't want to have umpires who are good decision makers, left out of the game because of a skill that they probably can't master.
Yes.
So that's the balance. Should we just maybe start each quarter, maybe, and then soften back to throwing up? Because once we do a bad bounce, no one cares when we throw it. This is great. Let's get the game going. It's only umpiring people who probably care.
I've got a few more to ask from us, and then I think we're going to get to Schofield media. It's absolutely packed. Yeah. Absolutely packed. And before we get to Schofield, we're going to do a bit of D. Margetts social readouts, if that's all right. 3 more from me. If you want to chuck one in there, you can. What was it like travelling as an umpire? People forget that you guys travel, just like players do, exactly the same. Did it affect your game? Did you enjoy the travel aspect?
Yeah, I did.
Got a family as well?
Yeah, I had no choice but to travel. But I've had Melbourne umpires come over and go, how on earth did you do this? What did I do it? 239 times, or whatever I did, crazy amount. I think I've gone around the world 8 times in my travel, 1.8 million kilometres.
Wow.
I enjoyed it, actually. You get your appointment on Monday. Okay, I know I'm flying out Friday. My game's at 2:40 Saturday. I know I'll be home at midnight. That was part of my journey, my enjoyment. I could, go get some kids' gear in the shops and stuff. You sort of just plan around all those things. So am I going to miss that part? Yeah, absolutely. I love the camaraderie of, catching up with umpires in Melbourne for dinner and, talking and post-game catch-ups. I miss that because that's, as I say, we're not even the players, catching up. And as much as we don't get to see each other, during the week, the games were the special part of what we did it for. So, yeah, I missed that part, but I enjoyed it. I mean, sometimes it was tough. You do those Sunday afternoon twilight games and they finish at like 5:50 and you're on the 8:30 flight and you get home at 1 o'clock and you're back at work I mean, I'm not like players. I'm not playing PlayStations on Monday for covering. I'm at work.
That's my next question. Yeah, Dan, stop whacking me. I'm not a player anymore.
You
I'm
know,
on the same level as you.
I'd go into the West Coast like players' lounge. They're on ping pong, Nintendo. I'm thinking I've got to go back to work after I've just done this session.
Been abused for an hour.
And they're just having their lattes. I'm going, how good's this game? But my God, get me into this.
The mess up.
I can just say I was not having lattes with the players. I was walking past their kitchen.
So correct. Like genuine, just PlayStation set up everywhere. And ping pong. I mean, that's my next question. Is anyone full time right now as an umpire?
Yep.
And has anyone ever been? And what was that like balancing between an umpiring?
Really good question. People like we should be full time. I always said no because some players' careers last for 20 years like mine, and some umpires' careers last 7 years. So if you go full time umpire, what do you do if you retire at 46? Oh shit, I'm just an umpire. What am I going to do? So
hang on, before you keep going, counter that with as a player. What am I meant to do at 33 when I retire?
Have you got more? Yeah, it's a good question.
Okay.
But you were full time getting triple, quadruple the money that the player got, umpire got.
You don't know what I earned during my career, Dave.
Are you going to share? No. but I'm saying it's different. I mean, our highest paid umpires are probably on our best umpires, top 10, maybe 150, 160 a year. So it's reasonable, but they've got a job. Full time, would it make me a better umpire? It wouldn't. NRL umpires are full time. Are they any better? I see howlers weekly. Now, you're full time, but it's just the way the game's played. It wouldn't change my preparation. I work in footy now, obviously, but I had a job where, and I always treated umpiring as my sport. That was just my release valve, and I was lucky I got to do it at the highest level with the best players on the best ground, so I was really fortunate. But I think I needed a bit of a balance. You know, what if you're injured for 2 years and you couldn't umpire? What are you going to do? There's only so much vision or so many schools you can go to and talk about umpiring. I think you need a balance. So I don't think it wouldn't stop me making 3 errors a game if I was full-time. And I think that's what Eddie Maguire says, make them full-time, pay them 300 again. They'll just be better. I'm not convinced we would be.
Yeah, I mean, you see some players go about it. They're probably on 500-600 grand. They're not very good, are they?
That's what I mean, yeah.
Not going to name any players either. Yeah. Last one. Why aren't there more past players umpiring? What do you think? I mean, you started playing your career, but I'm talking AFL players, finish the game, go into umpiring. I'm surprised there's not more of those.
Well, I heard you on a show the other week. We were saying you basically tore your calf walking up your own stairs. So what I'm saying there is the fitness levels of players drop off very quickly. And I think we spoke about this on the phone.
Yes.
And it's a great question. We'd love more players to umpire. But the reality is at 33 years of age, they've retired. They've been through all these pre-seasons. And umpiring's not easy. You've got to do a pre-season. You've got to train twice a week. You've got to get scrutiny. You're going to have to get some social media feedback. And you're like, I don't want that. And we're going to pay $350 a week to do it. Will's going, I don't walk out my front door for $350, so I'm not going to do umpiring. So that's why it's hard. We'd love more. And Lee Fisher's done it. Jordan Bannister did it. Andre Gin Fagner's done it. Brett Wallace has done it. But again, they were early to late 20s. They weren't sort of like 30, 35. I mean, it's a big caper and
taking a toll on
it's
the body.
tough. You know, I'd love to have more in it. We'd love, but we had a player come down last year. I can't remember what his name was, but yeah, I want to do it. Lasted one session, didn't see him again.
It's the fitness element.
It's tough.
Like how many Ks are you covering in a game?
Anywhere between 13 and 15 Ks a game.
Same as players.
You know,
just for reference.
and you know, if the players come off, you go off and have a ice vest and have a drink and sit there for 3 minutes. We don't come off.
So I mean, I know you didn't umpire 2018 grand final, clearly, but oh no, I've been waiting to whack you. But
you didn't come off a lot. Defenders don't. I know, I understand. But honestly, other than Ed Langdon, I think
we're tackled, we're getting ravaged.
Understand, but we're still out there for the whole game.
Yes,
don't come off.
Do you want a trophy? Would you like a medal? Trophy?
I think Ed Langdon and Stephen May are the only two players in the AFL who have not come off all season.
Yeah, I think that's underrated as well at Melbourne. They've got guys that makes a big difference in their midfield.
Yeah. Because
Oliver, Petrarca don't play 100% game time and they get time to rest and then they come on and then the most impactful players in the competition.
It's interesting, isn't it?
And two guys to do that in one team would mean at a minimum 2 more changes a game for the team, and that would go to the midfield. But it's probably 3 or 4 because the way it changes around everyone, they'd be getting extra change or 3 in their midfield. Which is why they're the best in the comp, not why they're best in the comp.
But can I just say to all BackChat viewers, I have challenged Will Schofield to come to the Waffle umpiring group just to get a feel of what it's like to be a boundary umpire, a goal umpire, and a field umpire, and then he'll report back and go, "Geez, it's bloody hard caper. That's why no players do it."
Roaming Charlie. I reckon we got it.
I reckon
massive under the lights at Ernest Johnson Reserve in Como. Watch this space.
Dan v. Will.
I'll come.
It'd be huge.
How do you think you'd go as an umpire, Dan?
I reckon I could bounce it well. I've done it a lot.
You've done it a lot.
Yeah.
When was the last time you bounced a ball in the middle of the MCG?
Oh, come on. No, but I when you take the footy down to the park, I'm always just chucking it down.
When was the
You're
last
not-
time
you're
you
not
took
kicking
But we're going to get 30 umpires in a circle. You're going to go in the middle with all the heat and the
Yeah.
pressure and the scrutiny.
Brilliant.
We'll put you in the cricket pitch at EJ. This is
The thing that
huge.
scares me-
now I'm getting excited.
The thing that scares me the most is it throwing it backwards, because I feel like they get it in the a lot of the time just in the perfect spot. And you just
more questions. Keep okay. So players would stand around waiting for training and practice bouncing. Do umpires standing around for training have shots at goal and kick the footy and handball?
We used to, but a couple of our goal umpires got a ball in the head and it got a bit OH&S. It was a bit untidy. And then we had a couple of hemis go and we just need umpires. But we used to do a bit of that with some of our drills, handball drills. We're all frustrated former footballers, so that doesn't leave.
That's interesting.
But some players bounce the ball pretty well. I remember we'd come down to training and
Luke Shuey does it well.
I was like, that's not bad. Then I said, how about umpiring? He says, you're kidding, aren't you?
Oh, that's very good. Have you got anything else to chat about?
No, let's get into Schofield.
Nah, before we do Schofield, I want to do.
That's right.
I want to do this in the middle. So I mean, one really big reason to get you on here, mate, is that human element. Because I did experience the human element. And again, I know I'm taking the piss, but I hate umpires as much as anyone else, because you actually affected me more than the punter sitting in the stands. It's my job and I know it was never what you meant. You're applying the rules, but that's just how it went. And I've got a good nature about it, and we can sit back and have a laugh. But you see a lot of players speaking about the interactions they have with the public, both externally and on social media. And for me personally, I know a lot of guys, 95%, 99% is positive.
Yep.
And people are respectful and can give banter and give you shit, and you can give it back and it's all good. But I reckon umpires may actually cop more on social media. Is that, do you reckon that's true?
Yes, that's
You've
very-
seen players come out saying it, but what's it like finishing up after a game on social media for an umpire?
My last 5 years, I've never seen it as bad. I would get into my car and just click on it, and occasionally I wouldn't click on it for weeks. And I go, "What's all these message requests there? In the messenger there?" And I clicked on, it and all of a sudden, boom, there they were. And then Instagram came on, and people would say to me, "Why do you go on them now?" I said, "Well, why should I not be able to share photos with my kids and family because of some nufties on there? I shouldn't change my life. I'm a human, but it does make for good fodder to share with people when you do some speeches and stuff."
Betting, team losing, what was the driver?
It was just creative feedback for me on how they thought I was as a person and what my mum should be doing, what my wife did last, all that stuff. Very personal stuff. It wasn't about you cost me my multi or that free kick. It was just all personal.
Have you got some?
I have.
I'd love to hear them if you want to share.
This is one. I'm going to read it exactly how I get it. So this was 6:34 p.m. on August the 2nd, 2 years ago.
So straight after the game.
Yep. Mate, you are the most one-sided ever. Go back to fucking umpiring junior footy, you mong. You're so bad and you should be ashamed of yourself. Go to Specsavers, you fucking blind fuck. You legit look like a pedophile, you prick.
That's hectic.
Luke Greenmount. We'll name names here. We should name names, shouldn't we?
Mate,
Absolutely.
Dead set,
Margetts
mate. Dead set, mate. Hand in your whistle. You're a flog. You're a cheating fucking dog, mate.
Oh, settle.
You are a cheating prick, and because the AFL is corrupt, you will get away with it. You are a one-eyed eagle, and I've gone through the stats over the years, and I've got the numbers. You have consistently screwed Fremantle, and you constantly get the Eagles back in games when they are behind. You are a disgrace to Aussie rules. Not AFL, because it's a joke. Your family, and I have no doubt you will burn in hell for your lack of professional and arrogance. Up yours. You
will burn your family and you'll burn in hell.
Yeah.
Jeez.
No Kennedy, no Optus, no Dean Margetts, no West Coast. Thanks, Neil Burton. You are the shittest fucking umpire and always trying to stitch up Freo, you stupid KARNT.
I will say, look, if an umpire's ever had an impact on a game, I'd spew up. I fully get it. Sitting in the crowd, listening, watching, whatever you're doing, you get frustrated with umpiring decisions. I still do it. But there's no way it impacts the game because it impacts everybody. Yes, it impacts the game, but it impacts the teams.
This one here, hope you get glassed next time you umpire Optus, you scumbag. So this photo here, I'm not sure if you can see that. That's a picture of me talking to 3 Eagles players before a game. I think it's Luke Shuey, Tom Barras and Josh Kennedy. You might not be able to zoom in on there.
Yeah.
That's just an interaction pre-game.
Yeah.
I'm having a giggle. It was actually a bit of a joke about, I think, probably the banter I cop regarding West Coast players. So that picture got taken by someone in the crowd and then, well, away it goes. Now, I've had pictures with Nat Fyfe and players, and so that they'll just assume that we're having a laugh about whatever they're thinking, and it's so not accurate. Because we could have had those laughs at training and no one would see that, would they? So that's where it got a little bit unsavoury. I've had death threats left in my letterbox. I had to get like the AFL integrity department to sort of put a little camera on my letterbox for a week or two. Now, I accept my role in umpiring. I've probably been the face of footy in umpiring for probably the last 15 years. That's just part of it. Because most people wouldn't name another umpire in WA, could you? Other than Jeff Dalglish, you'd know. Yeah. But outside that, you wouldn't probably know. But I think when it goes to that point, when your family start to get affected and your parents, and that's a bit untidy.
Absolutely.
Disgusting.
And sometimes I replied to these. I was going to reply back and say, how would you like it if that was your son or daughter? And you get, I didn't think you were real. I didn't know if that was really you. I said, well, who do you think it was going to be? Like, so
that's what I was going to ask next, because like I've got similar maybe, but I always front foot it and just go straight back at them because you're a person too, right? And they should know that. Like they need to know that too. You want to say that, like, I'm down at the Queen's Hotel. Come down and have a beer with me. Like, exactly. Always friendly. I'm going to fight you.
No,
I've never fought anyone in my life. But it's like, if you actually want to talk about it, let's have a chat. Come down and have a chat. Yeah. Not one person's ever had a chat. Do it.
I actually got one lady who found her husband's account who actually emailed me back and apologised. I cannot believe my husband did that. I suffer from mental health, and if it's cool, it was really nice. But yeah, it gets a bit crazy. I mean, there was one Freo supporter who just launched something. I saw his photo, and I looked at it, and he was hugging his 2 grandkids. This bloke about 60. I thought, mate, are you serious? Like, you're writing that and you hold... So I actually sent it to the AFL. The AFL contacted Freo, and he was actually a member. And to Freo's credit, they actually ended up suspending the bloke for probably a couple of years just for that's not what their club represented. So I just thought that was a really good message that that club sort of supported the game, the umpires' role in it, and they didn't want to stand for that. So, the old standard you walk past is the standard you accept. I think that was a really good message.
Oh, well, I'd just wrap that up with, well, you just got to respect people, don't you?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, be good to one another.
Happy with that?
Yep.
You're not on Cameo, are you, Dino?
Cameo?
Yeah, I thought maybe it's a place for Dean Margetts to live on. That would be that actually would be fire.
Yeah.
So Cameo is a place, celebrity request. Now, depends what sort of level celebrity we're talking about with you, Dean. But
high level functioning one, I would have thought.
So Cameo, you can do requests for Mother's Day coming up.
Yeah.
Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Will, get me on that.
Right.
Yeah.
You can do, Dean Margetts gives you a message. They might want a Freo fan, a West Coast fan, and you can send them a direct message. I actually think you go.
Can you agent me? Can you hook me in?
Mate,
BackChat's
got the code.
here.
Yeah. BackChat. Yeah.
Yep.
Would you actually do that or not?
Absolutely, I would. 100%. I want to do that.
That would blow up.
Yeah, it would.
I'll come to house. I'll give green shirts out.
No. You don't need to go out. You don't need to leave your house.
I'll go new level. I'll go next level.
Well,
for an extra 100, I'll go.
Social media brought to you by Cameo and Dean Margetts.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll have to do that. It's fun.
Great. Okay, good.
I had heard about that, but we're
going to sort you out for that.
Let's humanise the umpires, eh?
Yep.
Oh, man. Okay. So, social media, which you would have heard about before as well. You heard about that?
I have.
Social media, one of the greatest podcasting segments of all time, where the people get to ask the guests the question. Enough of me and Dan.
We are but a conduit to you and the fan.
We all good over there, Charlie? We all got enough memory on the memory card? We don't want to run out with this one. This is a big episode. Morgan, _, Clug.
The most respectful player you umpired?
Most respectful.
Harry Taylor, Geelong.
Yeah.
Just 3 votes.
No, not votes. No, defender.
Just the way you said it.
I didn't mean that. No, it was the sort of guy that he would say, hey, now, Dino, that freak, I think you're right, but can you just... You almost wanted to give him a cuddle when you explained. You almost felt bad. He was just such a nice bloke.
Did you get that on the field with Harry Taylor?
No, I was thinking of umpires. Harry Taylor, incredibly respectful. Know him off the field, but need to get him on BackChat.
Yeah, okay,
He's in WA now.
He's a good fella. I've always had a good rapport with Josh Kennedy. He's always been a really good fella, and I just want to congratulate Josh on his 7th goal. He's a great person, and well done for that great achievement. Dave Mundy was always a good fella. Dave Mundy.
JK, I have recollections of JK. Dino, like quarter-time break, or he just called Dino, mate, I've got this bloke hanging off me. You've got to be able to help me out.
That's exactly what he said.
I'm really pleading. Dino, I know you're trying to do a job, mate, but he speaks like that.
But can I just say, though, on my last game, when I'm walking off the Western Derby last year, when obviously they're all shaking hands, Josh Kennedy ran from his pocket to run to shake my hand and say congrats on a great career, because I always joked with Shannon, Josh about who was going to last longer. And I said, I've got you covered, you old blokes. And they beat me. So the Twitch crowd, that was really nice, mate. And my friends in the crowd sort of filmed that, and it's something that I've always kept. So I think that was, out of all the players, he raced after me and said, hey, well done, a good career. So I really appreciated that.
Did you get clapped off?
The Dockers, yeah. It took me 377 games, 20 years to get a standing ovation. Now, I know Freo won, but I was nice. I actually stood out there and sort of savoured the moment a bit and said thank you. I actually gave a kid my sweatband.
You can see your watch.
It's a rock
Take
star.
take off your Rolex, mate.
I gave him my sweatband, and then the next day he said, Dean Margetts sweatband, $1,000, smells like deep heat. I said, $1,000? If you get 10, you've stolen. It's on there somewhere. It was really funny.
That's great. All right, we're going to whip through these because we've got a lot. Stefan _1039.
What's the hardest rule to adjudicate?
Holding the ball, there's so many cues, so many layers.
Okay.
Tim Scoey.
Relation?
I don't know. It's spelt the right way.
We've already covered this. Let's move on.
Sorry.
It was about Brownlow votes.
Okay. T _ Dizzy _. Very good.
The first one there?
Yeah, first one.
On average, how many kilometres as an AFL umpire? We've done that.
Yeah, sorry. Next one.
Would you be surprised if in the next 2 to 3 years there are AFL umpires being busted for match fixing?
Staggered. Absolutely staggered. Yeah. Won't happen.
Great.
Hasn't happened for 100 years and won't happen the next 100 years. It just won't.
This is a good one. Mark.Evans13.
The Mark Evans from Gold Coast? Mark Evans?
Maybe.
No.
This
show's got legs.
It would not surprise me if former CEO of Gold Coast was listening.
Help settle a debate between me and my girlfriend. Are the umpire shirts green or yellow? She says they're yellow. We got one behind us.
Who's she? Is there a name there for
wife,
she? Wife of?
No, Mrs. of Mark Evans.
I'm sorry to say, Mrs. Evans, it's green.
Is
not
it?
Yellow. Having said that, though, our clash strip is yellow. So she might have seen a yellow game. Yeah. So technically, they're both right.
What about when you went through the period of there was blokes in
orange?
blue and purple and orange?
No, so we got
red.
We had red, orange, green, white, and
did you have to pack them all coming to the games?
I never did. So I got on the plane always in a full stress, going, if I didn't print off the sheet and highlight that colour, it was a lot of guys forgot shirts. I know one umpire had to. I think he chartered an Uber from Geelong to the MCG because he forgot his gear, and it was just a nightmare. Yeah,
I reckon bring back the white with the blue and red strip.
Yeah, I love that.
That
was my first 4 or 5 years. I love that. It was soft material. Legit. I looked fast in white. I could get across the ground good.
What about Hayden Naka?
How common was it for players to cross the line in terms of abuse standpoint? And do you wish the current rules were in place? Do you wish the current rules were in place from when you first started out?
Not really, because I think it all goes through in cycles. And I never had a massive issue with it. A couple of times the guys would give you a few little sprays which warrant 50, but I never felt in danger, threatened, insulted by many of the conversation with players. I'm comfy with the AFL taking it, but I think it's okay. No, I wouldn't like what's happening today back when I started.
Did you ever give 100?
Yes.
The double 50?
Against Brendan Favola once. Yeah, it was actually a Carlton West Coast game against Glassy. I remember it, 100.
For abuse?
I think it was a free kick. Yep, paid it. And abuse, and then he gave me a bit more feedback. So, well, we may as well just give him a go. I think that's pretty sure it was 100. It's a long time ago. I think that's the only one I gave. Yeah,
Glassy would have appreciated it, no doubt.
Another good fella, Glassy.
Yes,
hard defender.
Yes, Chris got Insta.
Way.
No, Chris got Insta, not Chris Scott Insta.
How's he found me?
What was the funniest thing?
I'm not employed anymore. I'm unplugged.
Leave me alone. What was the funniest thing you've ever heard from a player on the field?
That Sam Mitchell one's pretty good. Don't fucking miss.
Probably Nathan Buckley. It was in my second or third year. I think he knew I was from Perth, and I'd played a free kick against him on the wing and Subiaco Oval. Excuse me. And he looked at me and he goes, Dino, I know you're on TV now. You paid the shittiest free kick. Can we just get on with the game and just sort your shit out, all right? And I'm like, okay, Nathan. I'm thinking, wow, okay, that was a reasonable interaction with one of the game's greats. But I get on really well with Bucks. So, as you go on, you sort of play as you umpired, and then they coach. It's always been a pretty good rapport. So, Bucks and all those sort of guys.
That's very good. Fossey in there now.
Fossey's in there.
Evan_Rhett. I like this one.
Would you watch other AFL games on TV and question the umpire's decision?
Or I'll just add a bit onto it, or do what most would do. Oh, not 50 or holding the ball.
Yeah, I do watch it, and sometimes, you do get a bit funny in front of your family. I think you ham it up in front of your friends a bit, but I watch games now. If I go to a game live, I can't watch it because I'm looking for the umpire to talk to me in my earpiece, and there's not there anymore because I'm not out there, so I kind of feel a bit nude when I'm watching a game. But it's very hard. I don't go to many games now. I mean, I get a couple of free tickets every game I want to go to, but when you sit there and people know who you are, you just get, oh, Margetts, what would you have done? It's a bit of a constant thing, or, it's a bit easy just watching at home now unless I'm up in the box.
That's good. Fair enough. Michael _Edwards 92.
What is the feeling like when you've made a poor call and the fans are on your back?
If I know I've made a poor call, the fans don't bother me too much, but I know internally I've made a blue. It's not great, but you've got to move on. And there's no umpire feels worse about making a mistake than the umpire themselves. There's nothing worse when you glance up at the replay and you go, oh, how have I missed that, or why didn't I pay that? Because you just can't get it back.
Do you hear this one? Alex.Newsiante.
Nice. Funniest thing people from the crowd have said.
Do you actually hear that? As a player, I never would, but umpire, do you hear it?
Yeah, when you're on the boundary, anyone who says you can't hear it. If I'm, you're literally 5 metres away,
Yes.
at Optus, you're almost on that level. Yeah, absolutely, you can hear it. I mean, lots of things.
Anything good, though, banter-wise?
Not really. I remember my last game, it was almost got to the point where subconsciously the crowd went quiet and I could hear almost everything. It's about time you retired, you old git, and all this stuff. And it was like a 10-year-old kid saying it, then it was like a mum saying it, and then it was like a granddad saying it. Why is the whole family coming at me? But not really. I mean, probably the funniest one was when I had this incident on a plane where I had to divert a plane and I had a burst stomach ulcer back in 2015. And as I was getting wheelchaired off, the wheel of shame, you could call it, a couple of Eagles supporters said, well, these fucking Eagles will have a good start of the season. He's in hospital. Really? At my lowest ebb? Anyway.
I actually had that in my...
I've moved on, though.
Yeah.
Had that in our notes very early on that you and I have that in common because I've caused an emergency landing because I had a seizure once.
Dead set.
And that walk of shame down the aisle...
Nothing worse than...
You brought the plane down, did you?
Yeah.
A couple of you?
Yeah. I've never met another plane diverter. Wow.
He's why don't you have a chat about it now, boys?
Right, that's probably the worst part when you're getting wheeled off and everyone's like, oh, I'm missing my
yeah, I know it's the worst thing. Because the bloke said to me, we're going to have to divert this plane. I said, there's no way I'm diverting this plane of 180 people. No way. It's just a tummy ache. I'll be right. And he says, mate, you're going grey. If you don't divert... In the end, I had a burst stomach ulcer. If I had have gone the whole journey, it could have bled out and, maybe BackChat wouldn't have the ratings they're having tonight.
T_Dizzy_. He's got another one in.
Who were the players that wowed you in terms of the way they played?
Oh, yeah, great question. Nick Rewalt, his courage and his running capacity. He would run 3Ks pre-game just to warm up.
Yeah,
he would run more pre-game than you running.
Well, I'll be playing on him. He would just go out on the ground. I'll be literally in a tracksuit pant, and he would be in full kit running, not jogging around
full on running,
not
sprinting,
but like a good clip,
He's a big boy as well.
Just run. I mean, I umpired him in the National 18s comp back in 2000. I'm thinking, who's this skinny blonde kid from Queensland? And it was him, and to have that career. Michael Voss's courage, Simon Black's hands, Ben Cousins' running capacity, Chris Judd's explosiveness, Nathan Buckley's, foot skills. I mean, I could go on for. I'm name dropping, but I got to umpire those great players.
And see them
Will
from a metre away.
Just, mischievous defending. I mean, I got to umpire the greats.
That's very good. We got two more. Okay. Gavro _543.
How good would it be to enter a bad spectator's workplace and umpire their day at work?
Oh, I'd love to do that. That is who is that? I'm going to
Gavro.
That's Gavro. He's a good man.
Let me know where you work. I'd love to come in and stand at maybe your boss's office, or he probably abused me, and just give him the same feedback at office.
And you also would have. I have memories of the umpires walking down the race and people leaning over the fence and really.
You know what? At Subiaco Oval, and we all know this, there used to be a cyclone fence down where we used to walk in and out. And I remember people would literally throw bourbon at me. And I'm thinking, I don't even drink. So that's cost you $10.50. So I'm either worth a fair bit for that. I'm not, mate, good on you. And you give it back to them and there's nothing they could do. It was like caged animals. That's why they changed it to the PVC thing. So
because of you. Because you're giving it back.
It's probably called the D Margetts PVC. People say to me, have you got a stand named after you at Optus? I said, no, but there's a urinal there that's named after me. I'm sure of it.
Oh, that's very good. All right, last one. Marshy.O'Meara.
The biggest decision an umpire he has had to make.
Biggest decision as an umpire he has had to make.
Yeah.
Read it.
Biggest decision as an umpire you've had to make.
Gee, how do you
there
go?
one-
How
is
many
it-
decisions? Well, I
is
mean,
there-
the one that I didn't make was the contact below the knees Luke Shuey in the prelim. That's a massive non-decision, which probably cost me maybe a grand final. There's so many. How do you remember them all? Hard to answer.
Did you pay any free kicks that you felt not changed the game, but influenced the result directly?
I literally can't remember any because I've just umpired so many games. What's 377 times?
If you asked
four?
me the same question, I'd be like,
It's so hard to say.
Yeah,
there would be a probably 20 or 30 decisions. I paid 150. I was a West Coast away game in Melbourne, I remember, and the ball was in general play, and I blew my whistle and said that's 50, and I thought I made the right decision, but it couldn't be 50. Either a free kick or nothing because the game was actually still happening. So it was just a brain fade, and my coach ran me up and said, talk me through this, and I didn't know what to say. And then they said, you can go back to Waffle and think about it. So when people say we're not accountable, mate, you only going back to Waffle. And I was lucky in probably the last 10 years I didn't have to go back because I was probably in the top part of the group. But there's nothing more humiliating when you go back to Waffle or your state league and you get some feedback as to why you're back there because people know. They just know.
well, again, welcome to being Will Schofield, mate. I was the most dropped player in West Coast Eagles history. I know all about being embarrassed back in the Waffle.
And the feedback you would get.
But the funny thing is, we're talking about umpires. If I ever saw an AFL umpire back there with me,
You would remind
I
them.
would give it to him because I knew, you know what, he's the same as fucking me. He's been dropped, and I'm going to give it to him. So he gave a freaky against me. Like, if it was you, Dino, I'd be like, oh, and look who we've got here. Oh, you've been dropped, haven't you, big fella? There's no comeback, because what do you say to me? Oh, you've been dropped too. Yeah, I know, mate. I'm right here.
It's funny. I umpired a game in Cunderdin yesterday, actually. I like to get back to the game and just enjoying just different levels of footy and getting feedback from the fans and then giving a bit back because there's no mic, so it's pretty good. And I started to pick up a few players' names. So I'd go, Reece, just come back 2 metres, marking line. And they went, Lysaght, Dean Margetts knows your name. How good is that? I never thought about that. I wasn't trying to big note myself, but the players just reacted really well, and it was pretty funny.
That's unreal,
great.
mate. That's it. Have you had fun on BackChat?
Good, enjoyed it. Yeah, we could do it more, but I'm happy to cameo up or back chat up anytime you need me.
Yeah,
Thanks for the questions.
I think we got a teaser. We've got some stuff in the works that I think Dino may offer a fair bit for.
Yeah.
Can't go into it too much, but that's Dean Margetts, unplugged, access all areas. We appreciate your time, mate.
My pleasure.
You can find us on backchatpodcast.com.au. You just see how much brain capacity I actually was using as a defender here, not even looking at anything. Backchatpodcast.com.au. You can email us at hello@backchatpodcast.com.au. You can find us on social media while you're not abusing D Margetts. Backchat __ on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, on Reddit. You can find us on YouTube. If you haven't watched this episode, jump on, subscribe.
That's everything.
That's a beautiful shirt you got on, Dan. Bye-bye.